All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome. If you are new here, appreciate you guys joining me today. As always, waiting patiently for the intro to finish up. Got a different camera angle going today. Better angle of where I saw you saying no likes from you until Boss check-in. Well, you got Boss and Leia both enjoying their cat tower right now, sleeping peacefully for now. But yeah, appreciate you guys being here today. It's a Friday. Friday's always good. Usually everybody likes Friday. Ray, you upgraded to Days Gone Remastered last night. Looks good. I'm glad to hear that, man. Glad to hear that. Yeah, I've been playing it a little bit more. Maybe I'll do like more thorough impressions on Sunday. I want to get a little bit more time with it. But we did play a bit of it yesterday. I played a little bit more of the Horde Assault, a little bit more of the story. Was messing around with some of the settings and whatnot. But yeah, it's nice to be back playing Days Gone. And yeah, it's out today. And I know not everybody's excited for it. I know that it's, Sony doing their remake, remaster station thing that they usually do. I get it. But I'm a sucker for Days Gone. What can I say? I love that game. Unknown, you've been playing it all day. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I will actually put up a poll. I meant to put this up before I went live. Are you playing Days Gone Remastered? Yes, no, still not sure. Vote on that poll. MBG, since you have connections now at PlayStation, convince them to do Days Gone 2. Well, I don't know that I would call it connections per se, right? Like, I don't know that it's going to work like that, but yes, Sony, please make a Days Gone 2. They put out the release trailer today, and again, man, all the comments, just people saying like, we need a sequel, we need a Days Gone 2, we need a proper follow-up to this game. And I even saw people in the comments basically saying like, Sony, you better be reading this. We want it. I have to at least try. Yeah, I'll tweet it out every day. No, I don't know that I necessarily have connections, right? Well, this month has been an interesting one. Definitely tried some different stuff, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest. Like, this was the first time in my channel's history where I was pursuing trying to get some review codes, some early access, and trying to do some reviews and stuff. And boss, it's too early. It's too early. No. Go sleep. Go sleep. Sleep, Prince. Sleep for now. It's fine. There's still plenty of room. There's plenty of room. There's not enough room over here. And Corey the Legend comes in. He sees Boss. Making his way over. Stop climbing on my arm. And he drops 5 membership gifts. Corey, thank you so much, man. Chill. Corey, thank you so much. So, whoever just wants to drop that 20 bomb, by all means, I will add that to the goal. But yeah, we've been doing some different stuff this month, and I'm undecided right now on how I feel about it. It's unusual, I remember for the longest time, basically, I was like, I don't want to do like early reviews. I don't want to do review codes because it always just kind of felt like it would either A, put excess pressure on like completing games faster than I normally would, or B, kind of diminish the whole we're going to experience the game together type thing. So it's been an interesting experience, and we'll see where it goes. But a learning experience nonetheless. Okay, boss, I'm only going to ask once. Please be good. Please be good. Which mode is best? Well, I mean, the Horde Assault mode is very different from the story mode, but the Horde Assault mode is actually pretty sick. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna save my like more thorough, deeper impressions for Sunday. Don't, don't, don't you do that. All in the name of boss. Yeah. So what we are going to talk about today, I mean, we'll still be talking about Days Gone today. I mainly just kind of want to hear from you guys. Let me know if you're playing Days Gone, what you think of it, who's enjoying it, who's maybe skipping it, passing on it. I also want to talk about Sony being very weird with Resistance. I want to highlight the fact that Sony is removing a bunch of games from PS Plus, which people are not happy about, but a bunch of their own games for seemingly no reason. And this is very weird. I don't know why they're doing this. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about Resident Evil 9. We have apparently Capcom straight up teasing Resident Evil 9, which is exciting. You want boss to cause trouble? Well, he is. You can't see it. I should get a second camera so you could see it, but he's sitting right here on the desk. He's trying to literally bite my monitor, and I have to keep shooing him. This damn cat. This damn cat and his treats. In Oblivion, you can play as a cat. Still no interest? You know what, though? Quite tantalizing. Chris, you're loving Oblivion? Yeah, it's been really cool, man, seeing so many people basically just overwhelmed with the amount of stuff to play. And that's what I was saying. It's going to be tough the last week of April, the last week and a half of April. It's going to be tough because there's going to be so much for people to choose from. Dude, that sucks. First party games off of PS Plus. Why? I know. So we'll start with Resistance just because it's weird. Sony basically announced that a total of, I think, 22 PS5 and PS4 games are being taken off of PlayStation Plus. So those games are Grand Theft Auto 5, MotoGP 24, The Sims 4, Island Living, Resistance Fall of Man, Resistance 2, Walkabout Mini Golf, Synth Riders, Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord, Before Your Eyes, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners for PSVR 2, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution for PSVR 2, Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, Stranded, Alien Dawn, the Lego Movie 2 video game, Ghost Runner, Payday 2 Crime Wave Edition, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Journey of the Savage Planet, or To the Savage Planet, Portal Knights, Enter the Gungeon, Batman Arkham Knight, and Infamous Second Son. They're even taking Infamous Second Son off, which is like, why? Why? The really strange ones here are, okay, you can't bite that, dude. You can't bite my console. I'm sorry, boss. You can bite a lot of things. You can't bite the console. Oh my God. Was he hired by Phil? Like, what's going on, bro? I should have named boss. I should just named him Phil. Anyway, the weird thing here is Sony removed their own first party games. They removed Resistance 1 and 2. They removed Infamous Second Son. And specifically with Resistance, what makes that weird is the fact that you can't access them now at all. Infamous Second Son is still accessible through PS4 and PS5. You can buy it. But with Resistance 1 and 2, the only other way you can play it is on a PlayStation 3. They're preparing to sell it back to you. Well, see, that's the thing. People are trying to like make sense of this because it doesn't make any sense, right? There is no reason whatsoever for Sony to remove these games from their service because all it's going to do is make people either unsubscribe from the service or make the service less appealing to potential new subscribers. So the only other thing that people are thinking is, well, are they going to be remastering them or, making them available to purchase? And I said in my video that I released, like, I don't want to give people too much hope, but there is something that I think is worth highlighting here. And I could be wrong. I am completely prepared to find out that there is no rhyme or reason for this other than Sony just doesn't give an F and they're like, we don't care. We do not care, bro. We don't care about Resistance. We don't care if you could play it. I get it. I'm prepared for that. However, we did a couple of weeks back cover the fact that it was announced by the studio, People Can Fly, that they're working on a project with Sony, and they just, signed an agreement with them. And this project is called Project Delta, and Delta stands for 4. And it's also Sony. It's in a Sony franchise that already exists. So people were looking at the history of People Can Fly. They make both first and third person shooters. They've done a lot of like different sci-fi type stuff. People are thinking that maybe they were tasked with making a Resistance 4. And if they are making a Resistance 4, it's clearly many years out. It's going to be a long time till we get that because they're just starting work on it now. But what it would signal, this is a lot of ifs, a lot of speculation, but what it would signal is that Sony wants to return to the Resistance universe, and they now want that to be a franchise, in the modern age of PlayStation again. And with that in mind, is there a chance that they're going to maybe repackage these games, maybe do some kind of collection? I don't know. I'm not at all convinced, but it's just there is a little something there where it's like, okay, so we got People Can Fly. They're making a new game called Project Delta, which people are speculating is Resistance 4. A couple months later, Sony just abruptly removes Resistance 1 and 2 for absolutely no reason from PlayStation Plus. What does it mean, right? Maybe it doesn't mean anything, but it is weird. It is like, I can't see any reason why Sony would do it, just because it's like, do you want people to unsubscribe from PS Plus? Because removing your own first party games that you had there for the last like 7 months seems like a good way to do that. If they're preparing to resell these games, that would explain it. But the only other games I think I can recall Sony taking first party games, the only other games I recall Sony ever taking off of their service from first party are the Horizon games, which every time they did that, it was because they were getting ready to resell you Horizon, or Spider-Man. And they took off Spider-Man right before Spider-Man 2 came out, or around the time the marketing of that ramped up. So I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. Like, if we're being ultra realistic right now, the reality is nothing's going to happen. Resistance is dead and done, and Sony's not doing anything with it. But if you're somebody who wants to, be on a little bit of hopium, there are a few very, very small, minuscule signs, potentially, that they could be getting ready to do something. Anything. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 sold 500,000 copies so far. That's great to hear, man. Good for them. I hope they make it to 1 million. They deserve it. That game easily deserves at least 1 million sold, dude. That game should sell a couple million. People should go out and buy that game. Truthfully, if you're a fan of RPGs, they should buy it. I'm going to have to buy a physical copy at some point. They do no remaster. They just sell you the original versions for $70. I mean, I think we're at a point, sadly, but I think we are at a point where if Sony did that, I think people still would be excited because they're like, it means they care. Like, we have to pay for it and minimal, almost no work is being done, but it means they care enough to come back to Resistance. They're doing something with Resistance. I don't know. It's the age of Totokism, bro. It's the age of Totokism. We don't know his approach. And Hideaki Nishino, we don't know what their approach is to classic Sony IP and how they want to, go about this. We have Hellbound 1981, another legend, dropping another 5 membership gifts for you guys. Hellbound, thank you so much for that, bro. Hellbound, I think that's like pretty much your soundbite now. But thank you so much for dropping some more membership gifts. We are now sitting at 10. So 15 more, and we can give this boy what he wants. Yeah, and like I said, we're going to be bringing some members only content back. I basically took a month off as I was trying to, take on some other responsibilities and obligations. But going into May, we'll be doing some more. We'll be bringing back the members lounge, maybe some more members gameplay and stuff like that. Petrov, you're saying Expedition 33 is a masterpiece. It is. It's really interesting, man. This is like the first time I've ever, like I said, this is the first time I've ever played a game early, and while I was playing it, especially as I got further into the game, I'm like I just remember having these conversations with Megan where I'm like, I think this game's better than Final Fantasy. And I remember saying I don't know, I'm like terrified to talk about it in that way. I was just terrified that I'm just thinking this game is much better than it is because because I don't really play games like that. But I feel like this game is like a masterpiece. I think this game's gonna blow people away. I don't think people understand what's coming with this game. And to see that it's out now and seeing all the praise it's getting and everything that people are saying, I'm seeing it all over Twitter. I'm like, good shit, man. I wanted to. That's why it was so hard not to talk about the whole time. Shower songs, you're saying you got gifted at the perfect time. Well, the one thing, getting back to talking about Resistance and the situation with it, it is worth noting they took off Infamous Second Son as well. So I don't know if that means anything. But I will say that there was a rumor and a report from VGC a couple months back where they claim that Sony basically, and this was shortly after we got the announcement that I think Hiroki Totoki and Hideaki Nishino were now in charge at Sony. Apparently, they're going into deep cuts. They're planning on reviving some PlayStation IP. They didn't go into specifics, but they called them deep cuts. I don't know. Would you guys consider Resistance a deep cut? The Drum Man says, MBG, please give me what I want, a membership. I can't control that. We'll see if we get more member gifts. Maybe you'll get lucky, Drum Man. I'm one of the few channels that you watch that actually makes member content. Really? Well, yeah, I mean, I have quite a bit of member content out there that we've done for the last 2 years, but we'll have more coming up. Maybe the time has come for the return of the OG Undead Manor. Of your. Ray, you think Resistance is a deep cut? I mean, I could, I guess, kind of see it. I'm torn on it. On one hand, it kind of feels like it could be a deep cut, but on the other hand, I'm I don't know. I think most people know about Resistance, but I don't know. I guess it really comes down to what Sony considers a deep cut, right? It never took off the way Sony wanted, so maybe it is a deep cut. That is true. Yeah. My understanding of the Resistance games is that each one, there were 3 Resistance games, and I think there was one on PSP, but each of the mainline games sold worse than the last. And I think Resistance 3 just struggled to even hit 1 million. So you could understand why Sony's maybe nervous to want to return to that, and they see it as kind of a failed franchise. Is a Resistance 4 going to come out and sell 5, 6, 7 million copies? Probably not. But then again, it's been away for so long, and assuming it's not Insomniac that would make it, but another dev, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is one of those situations where I would love to know the truth right? To get the raw data of like how many people are just saying things on the internet versus like what what does that translate to? Because I see people like practically begging Sony to return to something, anything that from the PS3, PS2, PS1 era, and I see it so much, and they're so vocal about it. It makes me feel like, well, damn, these games surely would do well if they went back to them. But I wonder if the reality would end up being like, no, they wouldn't. We have seen that, um, where you do discover that it's just a vocal minority, and we find out that maybe sometimes these companies are right for not going back because they anticipate failure. And but I don't know. I mean, it's I think when it comes to a game like Resistance, it it feels like the potential wasn't fully realized, or at the very least, like considering how far gaming has come since the Resistance games, so much more could be done now that previously was constrained. Michael Lynch with the $2 chat says, "Here's a couple of dollars. Read my last chat. You say Resistance is not a deep cut. It's a major game that is beloved. It just hasn't been made for a while." Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know that I would. I don't know that I would count it as like a true deep cut. Sony gave Resistance franchise chances. It had 3 mainline games and 2 portable games. Is there a reason why Sony dropped those games in the first place? It's weird because like Sony really wanted to be successful in the multiplayer space during the PS3 era, and then they completely dropped trying to be successful in the multiplayer space in the PS4 era, arguably the most important time for them to try to be relevant in the multiplayer space. Now they're trying to catch up. PlayStation likely sees games like God of War as a deep cut, not a failed franchise. They have no interest in investing in revitalizing. Corey, you want them to bring back Chrono Trigger? Dare I say it? I imagine Corey in the boardroom of Sony. Suit and tie, dare I say it? Bring it back. Bring back Chrono Trigger. And we have Dragonite coming in, dropping another 5-bomb on you guys. Dragonite is keeping the member train going today. On this Friday, we need some W's in the chat for Dragonite. Thank you so much for that, buddy. We are now 10 away from hitting that goal, which is nice to see. Really appreciate that support. Very much appreciate that. And Dragonite, I'll give you let's see what soundbite I'll do here. What's this? Dude, boss is like just glaring at me like, what does that mean? Like, he doesn't normally hear that soundbite, so he doesn't know how to react to it. He's just looking at me like, what does that mean? Heed this request. Back in the PS3 day, online multiplayer was free, and it still didn't help Resistance or Killzone to take off. Yeah, it was unfortunate because you could tell Sony was really trying, dude, during the PS3 era. Like, they were really trying with games like Killzone and Resistance. And I mean, I think some of those games did fairly well at the time, but yeah, none of them like the PS3 and Xbox 360 era was an era of gaming where I think some major multiplayer franchises began to establish themselves. And it just seems like Sony didn't really have anything that had that staying power. I mean, Killzone seemingly was the one where they were like, you know what, going into the PS4, we're going to give that one more shot. And even that didn't seem to resonate with audiences, like wider audiences, the way that Sony had hoped. I did play a little bit of Killzone too, and it definitely felt unique. It did feel good. It had a very unique feel to it when it came to like the weight of the game. Like, it just felt like a very heavy game, but in a good way, and the kills were satisfying. That was all they had. I mean, I know they had games like Warhawk, and obviously, we talked about SOCOM many times. I don't know. I don't know what Sony's intentions are with some of these. We talked extensively about this studio People Could Fly working on an established Sony IP and just trying to understand like what IP could it be? This studio makes pretty much like a specific type of like this is a shooter studio. They make shooters. That's what they do. So that kind of whittles it down a bit. And we know it's called Project Delta, so it's like it is I think it is fairly reasonable. I think to maybe kind of deduce that are they going to make the fourth Resistance game? Like maybe a reboot of some kind, but they're calling it Delta because it's technically going to be like the fourth mainline game. I think that's fairly reasonable. But it's one of these things where it's like you don't want to, for anybody who is a Resistance fan, you don't want to get your hopes up just because it's like, well, we may find out they're working on a freaking Horizon shooter, There it is. That's it. I just figured it out. There it is. Yep. Me and Unknown, the Unknown, we came to the conclusion at the exact same moment. Michael Lynch with a $2 chat saying, "How is Mrs. MBG feeling these days?" She's hanging in there. She's having a struggle, some health issues, but she's working through them and taking care of herself, and I'm helping take care of her as well. Sure, at some point she'll be back on the channel, and maybe we could talk to you guys about that a little bit more in depth. But I appreciate you asking, Michael. She's hanging in there. We're actually going to go to the movies later today for the first time in a long time. Probably see Until Dawn. You good? But boss, stop. So yeah, Michael, thank you for the super chat. It's because their first party PlayStation doesn't make them special. It only highlights their failures. It makes no sense to reinvest in failure. I mean, I do agree with that. I do agree that it doesn't make sense to reinvest in failure, but at the same time, I mean, I do feel like some of these franchises are so old and we're so far removed from them that I can see like the potential for just like maybe there's something here with at least one of them, right? Like it might be worth just trying one more time. But it is dangerous, considering how expensive games are to make now if you're trying to make them another AAA game. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of prep that Sony's doing right now for the PlayStation 6 and the lineup for that console and games that they want to kind of have ready at the launch window. And when I think of the studio People Can Fly working on an established Sony franchise, I mean, I imagine that's what it's for. Like they want to have something ready to go at the launch of the PlayStation 6. Who knows what it could be? It could be the Horizon first-person shooter, bro. Chris, you're saying, hell yeah, MBG, me and all my friends are going to watch Star Wars Episode 3 for the 20th anniversary. Yeah, I saw that too. That's cool that they're doing that. I think I saw that movie in theaters when it came out. It's crazy. I definitely feel like I'm getting old. Gravy Biscuits says Forza Fridays. Boss. We're close, boss. We're close. Hang in there. Hang in there. I know it's hard. Go sleep and chill with Leia. All right. Some of the IP are good games, but came out at the wrong time alongside much anticipated games and got the short end of the stick, so it can work. Michael, you want me to talk about Resident Evil 9? We could do that, yeah. Boss. Oh my god, dude. Corey does it! Thank God. Thank God, boss. Thank Corey. He comes in, he drops 10 membership gifts for you, boy. Man, Corey must really love you, bro. He dropped 15 memberships for you so we could hit the goal. Corey, thank you so much, man.
Holy shit.
He's just sitting here so anxiety, like, all these sound bites, what does it mean? You know what it means, bro. Leo Jimmy says, bring back Mag. Mag was a crazy one, dude. Mag was a absolute unique game. Like, I mean, what was that? If I remember correctly, Mag was basically like a multiplayer shooter where it was like 256 people in a map and you were like segmented into squads. It was really, really unique. It didn't work out though. I think the tech to make that happen just wasn't available yet.
Boss, do you read me? It's time to feed the beast.
All right, boss, here you go. Leia's probably going to get real pissed. Bro, boss is just like, yeah, I'll put my ass in your face. I don't care. I'm eating my treats. He really likes these greenies, though. These healthier treats. I was kind of nervous he wouldn't like them as much, but he definitely does. So that's good. Venino, you're saying 8 hours into marathon, and I just don't feel it, man. Leia demands her dope. I'll wait till boss is not, literally sitting on her head. Oh my god. Okay, Leia, you're just gonna take that? Is that showing through, or can you see it? She's like, you know what though? You know what? I don't need this shit. All right. I got you. Oh, my mic's in the way. So we'll just let them do their thing. Venino, you said you were 8 hours into marathon. I was thinking about trying to get into the alpha, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, I'm just gonna wait. What didn't you like about it though? Like, what's not clicking with you? Because I've been seeing some mixed things about it. Expedition 33 GOAT. Corey, you think marathon is DOA? It feels bootleg. Oh, wow. I know what you meant to type there. Come on, boss. I'll give you a couple more. Just a few more. Yo, wait. Is Leia going to eat a treat? Magnolia was all right. Sony's never going to make back the money from the Bungie purchase. PlayStation has said that they only want to invest in their successful IP like Horizon. A Horizon shooter is much more likely than a Resistance or a Killzone. I know. And, to be fair, like a Horizon shooter that's based, it's like a prequel, like where they're like fighting the machines before the world actually ended. That actually sounds like it could be pretty cool. That would be a really unique expansion of the Horizon universe. But yeah, I mean, people would clown on it no matter what. Oh my god. Leia's eating treats. Leia is eating treats, bro. This is not a drill. That's crazy. She's eating the healthy treats too. What? I'm sorry, boss. Boss is looking at me like, how could you? Leia just took over. Leia just straight up was like, I'll take the catnip. I'll take the treats. See, that's what happens, boss, when you go sit on somebody's head like that. Put your ass in their face. They ain't going to take it. Leia's not going to take it. All right. Hayes. Oh my God, Hayes. Wasn't Hayes labeled like the Halo killer or something? We do got to talk about Resident Evil 9 though. Vengeance. So we have been anticipating a Resident Evil 9 announcement for a while, and it still hasn't occurred. It seems to me, I could be wrong, but it seems like Capcom may be trying to line up Resident Evil 9 with the 30th anniversary of Resident Evil. Resident Evil will be celebrating its 30th anniversary next year. And so I imagine the announcement of Resident Evil 9 is going to be a really big one. Now, I speculated and I've been predicting that Resident Evil 9 is going to show up at some type of Sony show, whether it's a showcase or a state of play, because that's the way it's been pretty much since, geez, man. I mean, pretty much since the PS4 gen. Capcom has always been marketing Resident Evil alongside PlayStation and revealing at PlayStation shows. So the tease from Capcom comes from the fact that they put out a little thank you video for Resident Evil 4 specifically. And I think that's relevant because Resident Evil 4 stars Leon. And the rumors have claimed that Resident Evil 9 is going to star Leon again. But in this thank you video, people have noticed that if you look closely, scattered throughout the video of them thanking players for hitting, I think, 10 million sales or something like that, some kind of milestone, the Roman numeral for the number 9 is spotted numerous times. And then I think towards the end, they show like a sign, like a wooden direction sign. And if you just like turn it, it makes a very clear Roman numeral for the number 9. So people are taking this as, oh, okay, Capcom is teasing Resident Evil 9. It's about to be May. And so, you know, people are thinking that we're going to be getting a Resident Evil 9 reveal in the next 6 to 8 weeks or something along those lines. And I'm inclined to think, yeah, we're probably going to. You think it's going to be at the Xbox showcase? I mean, it's possible. I would be surprised if Sony let that slip through their fingers, because it seems like they've been it seems like they've had a good thing going with Capcom, but it has been a long time. I think it's been like a decade that they've been marketing Resident Evil. So I would be quite surprised if it was at the Xbox showcase. But either way, I don't care where it shows up. I just want to see it. Resident Evil 9 is something I've been anticipating. And the biggest reason I'm excited for Resident Evil 9 is because it's going to be different, right? It's not a continuation of, what was his name? Ethan Winters. And it's no offense to Resident Evil 7 and 8. I really liked 7. Didn't really like 8 that much. But I'm ready to move on and kind of get back to something that feels a bit more, if not traditional, something like, I don't know, Resident Evil 4-ish, or like that. That sounds good. How much for my PSN ID? Whoa, hold on, Dragon Knight. Do you mean like to sell you my account or to just add you to my friends list? Because I don't add people on my friends list on PSN. I keep everything like private, basically. People have clowned on me for that, but I'm just like, I appreciate my privacy where I can get it. You think RE9 is not going to be revealed at a state of play? I wouldn't be so sure, dude. Resident Evil 4 Remake was announced at a state of play, which was very surprising. And it was like the biggest announcement at a state of play. So it's been done before. Although, yeah, Resident Evil 9 feels like it's a big game. Like that's one that I feel like, yeah, that's showcase level, dude. That's definitely showcase level. Imagine getting clowned on because you don't add digital friends. Isma says, thanks for the sub, aka membership. Yeah. Well, Corey dropped some members. Dragon Knight did, and so did Hellbound. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for getting us to 25 members. And RE9, wow, being mad. That's. I mean, I would hope that Sony's going to do a showcase and that Resident Evil 9 would show up. That would be amazing. Resident Evil 9 would be a mass. I mean, I know it's not a first party game and it's obviously not going to be exclusive, but that would be a massive reveal, I think, for Sony or for Micro. Wherever it's going to show up, it's going to be a massive reveal. And I have this hope that Resident Evil 9 is essentially going to be like a proper follow-up to 4 in some way, where I know a lot of people felt like Resident Evil 5 was that proper follow-up to Resident Evil 4, but I mean, something starring Leon, something that kind of hits that good balance between horror and action and kind of just going back and forth between the two. I feel like RE5 definitely lost that balance a bit. Well, thank you for your understanding, Dragon Knight. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe it could be a Summer Game Fest announcement, right? I mean, geez, Summer Game Fest and the Xbox Showcase are happening, I think, one day apart. I'm pretty sure 1 or 2 days apart. And I'm sure there's other events that haven't even been announced yet. So Hanzo's thinking about a Jill sandwich. Easy Tone with a $5 super chat says, did you see Expedition 33 announcing they hit 500,000 units sold in the first 24 hours? Great news for an indie game. Hope it keeps growing. It's so good. Yeah, somebody mentioned that earlier, and it's amazing to see. I'm really happy for them. It is on Game Pass, so I don't know if that's mitigating the sales potential, but I have seen people straight up say that, like, even though they're going to try it on Game Pass, they plan on buying it, which is good. Because I think this is a situation where it's like we want to send a clear message to the developer, and I think that is like, you did an amazing job. And actually, it's not even just sending a clear message to that developer, it's sending a message to the industry where it's like, for anybody out there who's making RPGs, take a good look at this game because they probably made a better game than you did. So you could learn from it. You know, I've seen so many people basically hoping and wishing that Square Enix would make a game like this, like the one that this Sandfall Interactive just dropped with Expedition 33. So it's really great to see them succeed, man, because the worst thing would have been if they didn't, right? If it's like it came out and like it just got pushed to the side and nobody was paying attention. And I think this is a great example of I think reviews do matter to a degree when it comes to sales and the sales potential of a game. I have no doubt in my mind that this game was immediately on many people's radar once they saw, like, well, it's got a 92 on Metacritic. What? You know, I think that just makes people like go, okay, you know what though? Hold on. Let me take a closer look. And I think it does kind of, as much as I tend to not try to focus too much on reviews, or at least I try not to. I think I fail most of the time, but it does kind of highlight, I think, how important it is for some games where it's like, yeah, like it can be a difference maker, certainly. You think Square lost their way? Yeah, Expedition 33 is a very good game, man. It was a game that I was intrigued by. Like, I was like, you know, maybe it was one of these games where I kept telling myself, like, maybe I could see myself playing it, maybe. And then I did get to play it, and I'm like, okay, well, that answers that question. You think the Yote date reveal was PlayStation telling us everything we need to know about their plans for no showcase? The only state of play you're getting before GTA 6 is Borderlands 4. I mean, dude, I hope not. I will be upset straight up, and I will express my frustration if the way this goes down is like Sony is just like, yeah, we are doing a state of play for Borderlands, and that's that. I will freak out on Sony. I will, because it's just like, yeah, I'll have to turn a little bit, man, and be like, well, all right, hey, that's cool, Sony. You do that Borderlands state of play. I'm gonna go tune into the Xbox showcase. Where they're probably actually gonna have a good showcase. And then Sony will be like, but aren't those games coming to PS5? And I'll be like, huh? Metal Gear, huh? You see the exclamation point above my head? Dude, why you gotta do that to me, bro? Why you gotta keep reminding me? I know why you have to. I know. I can't be deluded. You keep reminding me that there is a Borderlands state of play coming. And it's looking more and more like that's all that's going to be the summer event, the spring summer event. And it's like, that's going to be that. Yeah. And Deathloop. By the way, if you guys didn't know, Deathloop came out in 2021. I'm going to have a hissy fit. Yeah. They're getting their cut. They're okay with that. Why are you talking about Borderlands as if it's Crackdown? No. To be clear, my feelings on Borderlands as a game is completely separate from what I'm kind of saying here. Like, Borderlands 4 seems like it's going to do great, and I'm happy that people are excited for it, and I'm happy that people will get an extensive look at it. The problem is Sony should absolutely not be the one doing that. Like, I'm going to be truly perplexed. Just listen, just think about this for a moment. And I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to go off the cliff or off the deep end, but think of it like this for a moment. We just got a blog post and a new trailer dropped for Ghost of Yote, which is great. It's great. That there's nothing wrong with that. That's good. I'm excited to hear more about Ghost of Yote. But next up, there's going to be a Borderlands-focused state of play. And we are potentially looking at a situation where it's like Sony literally made a bigger deal about Borderlands 4 than they did their own game. And if we are in that situation, I'm gonna have to rant. I'm gonna have to do a really intense rant, because that is some next level nonsense. And I think we can all agree on that. So it's no offense to Borderlands, but in no reality should Borderlands be taking priority over Sony's own fucking games. Like, I would be like, I mean, that's why I'm scared. I'm actually scared. I'm excited. Like, I'm excited for the games no matter what. I'm just scared, because that would be a level of disconnect that I'm like, guys, we thought it was going to get better. It seems to be getting worse. But we have to see. We have to see, because we don't know. There is a chance that Sony could have multiple things planned. I don't know. I do not know what to expect. What I will say is there is some truth in Easy Tone. I'll read your super chat in just a second. Before I forget this, though, there is a message being delivered with that Ghost of Yote reveal. And to me, that message is, okay, that's the new leadership. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that literally the same month that Hiroki Totoki and Hideaki Nishino take position as the CEO and CEO of Sony / CEO of PlayStation, respectively, I don't think it's a coincidence that suddenly it's like, boom, here you go. We're not fucking around. It's good. I'm not opposed to them doing it this way. The only thing I'm opposed to is, again, potentially the idea of something else taking over, you know, or getting more attention. Yeah, that's true, Whiskey Gaming. You're absolutely right. It very well could be that they're planning a big state of play for Ghost of Yote. That game is like 6 months away. So that's more than enough time, dude. Like, there's no reason for them to do a state of play 6 months ahead of the game's launch. Easy Tone says, with a $5 chat, why do you think they decided to drop that big trailer on its own in late April rather than wait for a full show for an October game? I don't get it. I do have a theory, and this theory is likely fueled by, well, it is fueled by a lot of hopium, but hear me out. My theory is that maybe Sony does realize that we got to change up the format if we're going to do a showcase, and we kind of have to go back to not an older format, but just taking a page out of the, we just need to show more gameplay book. They did it. Like, listen, it's not like they haven't done that this generation. When Sony did their showcase in 2023, they ended it with like 9 minutes of Spider-Man gameplay. It's just, it seems like, unfortunately, at that time, they didn't have any other games ready to show gameplay. I feel like going into a potential showcase this year, it's the opposite. They have multiple games that have been cooking for a long time, dude. There's no way in hell they don't have gameplay ready to show. So I think that when you look at this trailer, notice how they still didn't show much gameplay. They showed a quick little kind of sizzle reel once again towards the end for like 10 or 15 seconds. They're not showing the gameplay. And I think a reason for that is because if they're going to do a showcase, they might have like a 5 to 6 minute gameplay demo ready to go for Ghost of Yote. I mean, that's going to be their next major release. Why wouldn't they show some gameplay? Or a dedicated state of play focused on it. I think the telltale sign here is that they're not showing the gameplay. And of course, there are going to be people who are going to see that and you know, view it in bad faith, where it's like, well, it's because it's going to be bad gameplay. It's like, no, dude, like, come on, for fuck's sake. Like, it's Ghost of Yote. It's not going to be bad gameplay. It's going to be good, obviously, but they're intentionally not showing it yet. And I think it's because now the marketing is kicking off. They got 6 months. And you would assume that at some point, whether that be this month or next month or in June or maybe closer to the October launch, they're going to have a, you know, I mean, who knows? Maybe this is just how they'll do it, though. Maybe there isn't going to be a show. Maybe they're just going to be like, yeah, every like 1 or 2 months, we're just going to drop a new trailer with a blog post and then it'll launch. They could do it that way, but that would be interesting. That would be a surprising way for them to do that. Broccoli Rob, a member for 17 months, says Borderlands 3 and Tina's Wonderland was absolute dookie air. Okay. Dookie air. I'm just trying to like register that in my brain so I can use it in the future. And F Sony for whoring out their own state of play for money to show some clapped game. You know what? You know why it makes me nervous, dude? It makes me nervous because the last time Sony did this was with Kill the Justice League. And I remember that was a state of play where it was like 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes of like mostly third parties, and people were like, And they're like, don't worry though, we got 20 minutes of Kill the Justice League gameplay. And people were like, what the fuck, dude? This looks like shit. And that was it. That was it, man. And I remember like talking to you guys. I'm like, that was awful. That was terrible. I think they did Hogwarts, but I think they handled that a little bit differently. The difference between Kill the Justice League and Hogwarts, if I recall, is Hogwarts was given its own little thing. And yeah, it wasn't like hyped up or anything. It was just like, here you go. Here's like a state of play showing off Hogwarts. And that was pretty cool. Actually, yeah, you're right. They did do that. And I think that, all right, yeah, you got me, Whiskey. You got me. You're right. I did forget about that. Whiskey Gaming got me, bro. He got me. Because you know what it reveals is, yeah, if it's a game that I'm interested in, I don't mind as much. If it's a game I'm not interested in, I want to flip a table. You're right. I totally forgot about that. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Wait, you know what though? I will say hold on. Now I gotta check because I don't want to get it messed up. Hogwarts Legacy State of Play. When did that happen? March 17th, 2022. Oh my God, it was that long ago? Wow. Yeah, I forgot that game came out in 2023 as well. So, okay. So the way that worked was we got a State of Play for Hogwarts in March. And then in May, we got a State of Play where they revealed shit, I can't even remember. But they revealed something. I wonder, well, yeah, I don't know, man. We're getting it's already going to be May. So, but yeah, I guess if it was like a Metal Gear Solid State of Play, I'd be fucking losing my mind right now, dude. In the other way, I'd be making popcorn and seated and excited. So I guess it kind of does reveal that it depends on the game, and I can't deny that, like, I'm not excited for Borderlands. I don't play Borderlands, and it hurts me inside to know that there might be a whole State of Play dedicated to that and not much else. Can Sony first party reveals overshadow GTA 6? No. Lux, you're saying here with the super chat, Sony makes more from third party games. Why they are the main for casuals, Call of Duty and sports games. Soon GTA. They'll try less and less in the future, sadly. I'm not convinced of that. Mainly because they have a whole family of studios and a shit ton of resources. I mean, so let's face it, Sony is one of the biggest publishers in the world. Relative to all of video game publishing, they're huge. They could downsize, absolutely. They could shut some studios down. They could get rid of Bungie. I mean, there's a lot that they could do to cut down and really reduce the size of their family of studios and just as an overall publisher. But my whole thing is that as long as they choose to be as big of a publisher as they are, it's very expensive. They're taking on a lot of employees. They're responsible for a lot of studios, and I think the whole idea is, like, as long as you're choosing to do this, you should probably try to do as good of a job as you can, because the better you do, the more money you're going to make and the more justified your overall investment in this family of studios becomes. But yeah, there is this kind of notion of, like, well, if Sony gets more and more relaxed as like the de facto go-to console and platform, especially for like casuals, are they really going to feel like they need to continue to invest in the way that they have been? Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I think Sony operates. I know people talk about Sony like they're just pure business, and that's it. But we're talking about the same company that, even though, something like Astrobot didn't, it's not doing anywhere near like Mario sales numbers. It's nowhere near 10 million sold. I don't even think it's near 5 million sold, if I'm being honest. I think it's like probably under 3 million. Sony's very, very happy about that game. And it's because it's got the prestige. It won them Game of the Year. It was the talk of the town for 2024. I just and that's they've made it very clear, like, we're going to commit to this game. Like, this is going to be a franchise now. And of course they want it to sell better, but I just think that, I don't know, Sony seems to have a lot of faith in games. Like, I watched a documentary the other day on Twisted Metal, the history of Twisted Metal, and something that was really interesting to me that I didn't know is that apparently with the original Twisted Metal, like, the executives at Sony, like, they didn't really believe in it. They're like, what is this? What is this? And they really just didn't care about it. It wasn't until it released, it got pretty good reviews, but specifically I forget which magazine, but there was a video game magazine that ended up giving it Game of the Year, the original Twisted Metal. And as soon as that happened, Sony was like, oh, okay. Now it helps that it sold pretty well, but it wasn't until it won Game of the Year that Sony was like, okay, hold on now. Hold on. And then that's when they were like, we need a sequel. We want a third one. We want to make it a big franchise. And it just goes to show, man, that like when we had that conversation yesterday about Days Gone and the review scores, like Sony's always been this way, man. Like they care about the award side and the prestige and the critical reception. And that seems to have a major influence over how they want to proceed. But yeah, man. And Lux, you're saying here with another chat, thank you, buddy. You're saying why did they go to PC? The first party games are not growing enough on their own console. And you know what? To be fair, they made a wise choice in doing that, Lux, because we have to remember that when Sony decided to go to PC, that was under Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan only did like one major interview during his whole time as PlayStation CEO, and it was like a fireside chat with Christopher Dring. In that interview, I remember he said something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty close to what he actually said. It's great that we sell, tens of millions of units of our games on our console or on our platform. But it would be even better if we could reach hundreds of millions of players with our games. And that was back in like 2021 when it was very clear that like under Jim Ryan's watch, like they're making a major shift to PC. But look at what happened, right? We can look at maybe like The Last of Us Part 2 only hitting like 30K concurrent. We can look at something like Ghost of Tsushima hitting 77K and be like, I think that's pretty good. But we can also look at Helldivers 2. And the reality for Helldivers 2 is that if Sony did not make that decision to go to PC, that means Helldivers 2 would have been only on PlayStation 5. It would have been successful, nowhere near as successful as it is being on PC. That doesn't mean that that's applicable to all Sony games. If anything, it might be exclusive to, if not just Helldivers 2, live service games. Maybe something like Marathon as well, right? But I think that it highlights that Sony was right at the end of the day, man. Like, Helldivers 2, I want to reiterate, is the fastest selling first party PlayStation game in their history. In their history. And that was mostly thanks to PC. And I know that, like, there are console enthusiasts that don't want to hear that, but you can't cover your ears or bury your head in the sand and ignore the facts. Those are the facts, man. It's also a fact that their single player games don't seem to do anywhere near those numbers, anywhere near it. And so I think it just kind of reveals that like Sony has some kind of, they have a good idea and a good understanding that like PC is a massive, massive audience that if you want to broaden your horizons and expand your player base, that's a viable way to do it. But it's not going to work across all of your games and all of your studios and all of your properties. In fact, you might find that it's only going to work for a select few. And so I think what Sony may end up having to kind of settle on here is, you can do it with some live service or some multiplayer games like you did with Helldivers 2. You don't know if you can do it with single player games. All you have are ports of years old games to try to determine that. So the only thing left for them to do is to decide what game, if any, do we decide, single player that is, to go day and date on PC. Let's just take Ghost of Yote, right? Ghost of Yote is clearly going to be the biggest game that Sony launches from their studios in a while, pretty much since Spider-Man 2, right? It's going to be the biggest one. It's expected to sell, millions upon millions of copies. I'm assuming Ghost of Yote is expected to be a 10 million seller, maybe not at launch or within the first month, but like maybe the first year and a half or something like that. If Sony really wanted to get an answer, how much would it matter for us to put our single player games day and date on PC? They could drop Ghost of Yote day one on PC and get that answer very quickly. They would immediately know. It's dangerous because if it doesn't work, then you have to walk it back and people will be pissed. You're going to piss off PC players if you do that. The idea is if you decide to do something like that, you are going to be committed to it. Can't put the genie back in the bottle, right? Well, technically they can. They can do whatever they want. It's just going to be it's going to be a nightmare. It's the risk is so high because if they do put Ghost of Yote day one on PC, let's say they get 2 million more sales. Would Sony be satisfied with that and be like, holy shit? Probably. Yeah. Like, truthfully, yeah. If you think about, like, you drop Ghost of Yote day one on PlayStation 5, maybe you get 2.5 million sales, maybe 3 million sales in the first couple days. If they got something like 1.8 or 2 million, 2.2 million or something on top of that by putting on PC, Sony would probably be happy with that and be like, you know what? We should just do this now. But there's a question that's not going to be answered for quite some time, and that is, whoa, hold on, though. You're getting another 1.5, 2.5 million sales. What about your console? That data is going to lag behind. So maybe Sony's happy up front that, well, damn, look at how many more copies of Ghost of Yote we sold by putting it day one on PC. And then a month later, it's like, why are our PS5 sales looking like that? Oh, that doesn't look good. I mean, I'm not saying that's what would happen. I'm just saying that's the risk is like there's gonna be an after there's gonna be critical data that won't come till after. That if they choose to do it, they're taking that risk. Like you have to wait. Imagine if think of the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario, Sony says Ghost of Yote day one on PC and PS5. It drops across PS5 and PC, and it doesn't do well on PC. And Sony's like, whoa, hold on. This was supposed to like really increase our sales, and it's doing like the same numbers that games like Last of Us Part 2 Remastered are doing or whatever, maybe just a little bit better. It's like doing the same numbers as Ghost of Tsushima did when we put it on PC 4 years later. Sony would probably freak out and panic at that point because they're like, well, we can't keep doing this because these are not the results we were expecting. And this is, and now we don't even know if this is going to hurt our console sales. Now we are going to be forced to walk this back and look like crazy people, like people are going to grill us for that. The only way Sony can justify, I think, going day and date on PC with all their games is if they are certain, and I mean certain, that it's not going to damage their console sales. And I don't think they're at that point yet. Because we can look at games like Helldivers 2 dropping day one on PC and how well it did, and it did better than the PS5 version. But what we can also do is look at that game and be like, so what's the overlap between that game and a game like Death Stranding 2 or a game like Ghost of Yote? Maybe minimal overlap? Is Ghost of Yote going to catch fire on PC like Helldivers 2 did? No, it's not. It's not to say that it won't do well or it can't do well, but it's not going to do those numbers. So I think Sony has to just kind of, I don't know what they're going to do, man, but they do want to expand. They do want more players. And like I said, this is the age of Totokism, right? It's Hiroki Totoki in charge now. The live service initiative was greenlit by Kenichiro Yoshida, who was the previous CEO, trickled down to Jim Ryan. Now we have a new CEO, and whatever that CEO's big initiative is going to trickle down to Hideaki Nishino. Hideaki Nishino is going to be the one to enact it and plan it and figure out how they're going to approach it. And we don't know what that is yet. What's going to be worth noting here is if you really care about this stuff as much as I do, which if you're here, I'm assuming you do, we're gonna want to pay close attention, or some close attention, to Sony's earnings in May. Not even just their earnings; they do their they're going to be doing their yearly investors report. And now that they have a new CEO and new leadership, they're going to have to reestablish, like they're going to have to communicate very clearly, we have a new plan and here's what it is. And that's going to be so critical in everything, because even though we can look at the way they just revealed Ghost of Yote and say, well, that's different, that tells us something. It does. We are not getting anything direct. When we tune in to this investors, whatever, I keep forgetting what they call it. There's like a specific name, their business meeting or whatever, their yearly business meeting. People like Hiroki Totoki, Herman Holst, Hideaki Nishino, they're going to have to talk, and they're going to be answering investors. And I'm very, very curious to see like what are they going to be like? What is the new strategy? Because there's no way you have a major turnover in leadership like that without a major shift in strategy. It's possible, but super unlikely. Like, I don't think you're going to get Hiroki Totoki coming out being like, so we're just doing the exact same thing. Because if that was the case, then they wouldn't have needed to have a new CEO. Something's changing. What it is, we don't know yet. I'm going to go to that meeting. Yeah, I'm going to be in there. But Lux, getting back to your super chat, man, you're not wrong. Like, Sony wants this. They want to grow. They want the PlayStation brand to grow. They want more people to become PlayStation players. It's just that the importance of their console ecosystem cannot be undermined in the name of doing that. It just simply can't, because it's too valuable. It's that simple. The console ecosystem is Sony's bread and butter in the gaming division by miles. It's fantastic that Helldivers 2 did amazing on PC, but that's nothing compared to the bigger picture that is, what is the ecosystem that is the PlayStation Store and the PlayStation console, you know, in terms of money's made, right? Like, that's, they're not comparable. That's why I will continue to say until I'm proven wrong and we get more clear answers from Sony. I think Sony believes they can have the best of both worlds. I think they believe that they can continue down this road where we can prioritize the console while branching out with games like Helldivers 2 and hopefully having another mega hit on our hands. You better believe that Sony, even though they might not have as much faith in it, would love to see Marathon be the next Helldivers 2. Where it's like, oh my God, look at this. This game's blowing up on PC, this game's blowing up on Xbox, and we didn't even have to put Ghost of Yote on PC. It works. You know, it's like Sony wants to be able to walk two different paths simultaneously without them overlapping and converging into one another, seemingly, unless that plan has changed. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I want to know if the plan did change. Like, is it like, no, actually, we do want to bring them together now? Because if that's what they choose to do, then yeah, we're going to see some major shifts. But yeah, man, I think I've talked about this quite extensively. I'm not as worried about exclusivity as I used to be, mainly because a lot has changed, and I always had this kind of fear, and I talked about this like back in like 2018, 2019, 2020, where it's like exclusives are important. And it's like, well, how are they important at a consumer level? And it's like, on a consumer level, they're really, it's hard to determine if exclusives are important on a consumer level, because one person will say they're absolutely not. Like, you're just limiting who can play this game, and that only benefits the company and the specific brand, right? On the other hand, people say, well, exclusives are meant to sell hardware. They're meant to sell people not just on a single game, but on an entire ecosystem. So they have to be the best of the best. They have to be top tier, you know, as high quality as you can possibly get, because if they're anything less than that, you're going to struggle to convince people that, hey, this ecosystem is worth investing in, that this game is so good, it's worth going out and buying that console for. You're going to struggle to do that. So it kind of does. And I see both sides of that, because they're both true. This is why I've always been an advocate for the saying that two things can be true at the same time, because that's exactly what it is. It's absolutely true that it doesn't. It's absolutely true that on a consumer level, exclusives leave people out and exclude people, and have are not as accessible. That's absolutely true. It's also absolutely true that if you look at a lot of the games that have been exclusive over the years, to like built exclusively to sell machines, to sell hardware, to sell um an investment into an ecosystem, yeah, it's always seemed fairly obvious, at least to me, that they need to be um you know they need to be very well made, very polished. Now, maybe those lines are blurring a little bit, right? Now that we've reached a kind of ceiling, if you want to call it that. I don't know if we could call it a ceiling per se, but like we're seeing some level of diminishing returns. Now that seems to be muddying the water a little bit. But all this is to say that Sony has some decisions they got to make if they haven't already. I'm sure they have made those decisions. They just haven't announced it yet. There is no console wars anymore. PlayStation gets all the games minus the Nintendo stuff. I mean, yeah, pretty much. There are really no console wars anymore. I was really locked in for a minute there when it comes to the Switch 2, thinking that, the Switch 2 is, we need to talk about this thing being competitive to the PlayStation. Like, I mean, like, it is competitive, but I mean, like, a serious, like, now we're about to see, like, PlayStation versus Xbox 2.0, except now Nintendo is taking Xbox's place. I don't think that's happening. I think it's fairly obvious that Nintendo is going to do better in some ways than PlayStation. And there's nothing PlayStation can do about that because they don't have. Sony's not the one that can sit here and say the next God of War is going to be on PlayStation 6 exclusively and it's going to sell 40 million units. That's not Sony. If that was Sony, that's exactly what they would be doing. But they realize that, well, the next God of War will be an exclusive on the PlayStation 6 for X amount of years, and it will probably sell 15, maybe 20 million units max. Perfect Image, by the way, I'm sorry, man. I missed your direct donation. I apologize keeping you waiting. Saying, MBG, there is a PAX East showcase, and Sony may be there, just waiting for the summer. For games on PlayStation Extra, Sony did say they were changing it up. Yeah, PAX East. Isn't that where we're going to get that Mafia trailer? Sony could show up there. Yeah, I mean, Sony could just choose to ride on these different events. Hopefully that's not all they do. But either way, Perfect Image, I do appreciate that donation, buddy. You think Nintendo's going to embarrass PS5 this generation? Well, I mean, here's what's weird to me. There's this strange dichotomy where almost not everything, but more than half of what I see people say about the Switch 2 and Nintendo is bad. Just flat out. Like people complaining about the hardware, people complaining about the policies, people complaining about the games, people complaining about the upgrades. I mean, just across the board, just more than half of everything I see is bad. What people are saying online, on the internet, what I'm reading, what I'm hearing in videos and stuff. Yet, analysts are coming out saying that Nintendo is about to break a record and the Switch 2 is going to be the fastest adopted piece of console hardware ever. It's going to like blow past everything. And I'm like, this is, I don't know what this means. I guess what it means is that no one actually gives a fuck. Turns out it's just hot air, right? Like, because it is totally unforeseen based off of what I'm seeing and reading and the way people are talking about the Switch 2. I I saw this post where somebody was like, I hate Nintendo and what they're doing with the Switch 2. And then they're like peeking over me like, so are those Switch 2 pre-orders open yet? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is what's happening. And this is why I just don't give a single shit anymore about listening to, no offense to my chat here, but to anybody on what they have to say about anything in the games industry, because nobody knows what they're talking about. Clearly. Even me. Like, people want to yell and they want to scream and they want to cry and they want to moan and they want to flip tables and they want to just, make the rage bait videos and so yada, 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 yada. Everything's so bad and it's so bad. And then it's like, boom, it fucking breaks records. And it's like, so it turns out that it's just a very small minority group of people all crying really loudly together. Yes. Turns out that's what it's always been. Nakamichi, a member for 39 months. Oh, and by the way, that's not me justifying anything. I'm not even paying attention to what Nintendo's doing. I'm just saying I'm watching from the bleachers at this point, and that's what I'm seeing clear as day. And this is why I need to realize, like, the same thing applies to Sony, where Nintendo's probably going to do better than Sony. I mean, they have been doing better than Sony in terms of just overall units sold and game sales. But it's like all the complaints I see about people, when it comes to PlayStation, and it's like, and yet, I don't know, they're in a very similar position where it's like everybody's just waiting to watch Sony fail, and it's like, did it happen yet? I'm waiting, and then they did with Concord. It's like the moment has come, the day of reckoning, Concord, and then it's just like, all right, well, we're moving on now, and that sucks. But anyway, here's Astrobot. Nakamichi, a member for 39 months. Thank you for the long-term support, man. Very long-term support. You're saying normies don't really care about the price about 3 products they buy. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I guess it's hard for me to avoid a lot of that noise because I exist on the internet so prevalently. I'm always on the internet. But it does, time and time again reveal the data, that is, the numbers, the reality. The numbers don't lie. It just reveals that, like, people are wrong. They don't know what, like, when I say wrong, I'm not talking from a moral standpoint. Like, it's not wrong for people to, like, say, like, hey, this company is, like, ripping us off. And that's wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's good to point that out. But it's like, yeah, man. So I guess they're in trouble then, huh? And they're going to get what's coming to them. It's like, if by that you mean the best sales they've ever gotten, then yes. And then, see, that to me is where it's like, I guess morals don't really belong here, do they? Right? It's business. And I don't know. It just it is what it is. It is what it is. Titus, you think I'm wrong? They may be in trouble, but it'll happen after the first 10 million sales. I mean, yeah, it's possible. It's possible. I would have to see it to believe it, though. You know what I mean? I would, because it's like, some of the stuff that I have come across with the Switch 2, I get it. I totally get it. Where I'm like, yeah, man, what the fuck? This is kind of crazy. But then it's like, I'm seeing videos blow up online of people being like, here's how I pre-ordered my Switch 2. And I'm like, and like every game. I'm seeing people lose their minds online because they couldn't get their Switch 2 pre-ordered. And I'm like, wait, guys, I don't get it. Like, the other day I was seeing people freak out. Now I'm seeing people freak out that they can't get it because there's not enough available to get. And I just find myself constantly seeing all these different, again, like, antithetical positions. They're all antithetical to one another. And it's like, what's the truth? And that's why I always rely on, I try to always rely on the data and the numbers. And kind of bringing this back around the PlayStation, I'm very, very, very curious talking about Sony's upcoming earnings and their yearly earnings reports and whatnot. I'm very curious to see what the data says. And people are always, they always say, like, who cares about the sales? Who cares about the numbers? I'm like, well, actually, it's very, very important if you are invested. When I say invested, I don't mean literally an investor, but I mean like you're somebody who deeply cares about the stuff because you want to, you're curious about the future of these platforms and these brands and what you trying to be able to map out what you can expect to some degree. I've been mostly correct in that, like, every time I look at the data for PlayStation's earnings and Sony's earnings in gaming, and I'm like, okay, where's the major, where are they in the red? Where's the major fall off and the major drop off? And for the last like 4 years, it just hasn't happened. And I've always been a little bit confused by that because I'm like, I don't like, people are losing their minds from what I can, like, people are freaking out about Sony's remasters. People are freaking out about their state of plays. People are freaking about the price increases. People are losing their minds about everything Sony's doing. And that's true. The profit margins were the one area where it was starting to get into the red. It was like in the yellow, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. And they're like, okay, we gotta get on this. People were freaking about the PS5 Pro. Concord happened, right? And like, I'm just waiting where it's like at some point the dam's gonna break. Right? Because like everybody's been going on and on and on. And some of it I do agree with for years. And it's like something's got to give. And then I've been waiting to see that because it's like if you want to know what they're going to do next and what's potentially going to change, look for the drop. Look, it's just like when we were paying attention to Microsoft's earnings and how, like, for the last 5 years, I'm always paying attention. How many units is the Xbox selling? How many units are they selling of the Xbox console? And each year it's getting lower and lower and lower, and they're struggling more and more and more. And it's like, okay, you can. This is when people started to speculate that they're going to have to do something because they can't get the sales up. Nothing they're doing is getting the sales up. And then they're like, well, okay, we're just not going to try to sell it anymore. We're just going to sell our games now on other consoles. I'm like, you can see that trajectory clear as day in the data, like what led to that. And that's why I'm just so confused. I'm like, I'm trying to read or predict like what's going to happen next for Sony. It's like, well, I'm waiting for the drop, dude. I'm waiting for it. Easy Tone with a $5 chat says, random question, but what kind of chair do you have? And is it as comfortable as it looks? The one I'm sitting on isn't doing it, so I got to know, LOL. It's a good question. It is as comfortable as it looks. This is my favorite chair. I think I'm not an affiliate with this brand or anything. I probably should be, though. Let me see if I can find it. This chair's extremely comfortable. So I'll put the link in the chat. I'm not an affiliate. I'm not sponsored or anything. Whiskey Gaming, you got one? I should have became. The fuck am I doing, bro? It's all right. I mean, what? How much money? I make a couple bucks if I were. But here's the. That's the chair, and it's great. It is. It's very comfortable. And I don't regret buying it at all. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, Easy Tone. I'll look at, if you do end up buying the chair, I'll look at your super chat as that's my commission. Gaming Survivor is saying people have short memories. I remember the Xbox/PC crowd online crying that Nintendo Switch 1 is a failure / going to die early on till it became an undeniable success. What should be my tagline of the channel? It is an expensive chair. Yeah. It took me a while to build up the confidence to pull the trigger on it and buy it. I was ready to return it if need be, but I was like, man, I need something that's really going to support my back and something that's going to feel comfortable to actually sit in for extended periods of time. And it's comfortable, but it is a big chair. I'm not that big of a person, but it is a big chair. I will let you know that. So if you're like a really, really small person, you might, well, I don't know. Megan's pretty small and she loves this chair too. So yeah, it's just a good chair, man. These things happen in rotation. The online echo chamber says the same things every few years. Tagline: shareholders only stream. Well, listen, I have my own desires, right? And like what I want from PlayStation, what I want to see them do. And I talk about that all the time. It's just in the same way that like we see Days Gone Remastered coming out. And it's like, what can we take from this? And of course, the easy dunk is like remaster Station 5. Sony's out of touch. Sony only knows how to remaster not even old games that people don't want. And I get like, you get the easy dunks out of the way, but it's like, what does it really mean? What it really means is that Sony Ben needs money to justify their own existence. What it means is somebody somewhere at Sony said this is worth doing. And why? Why did they decide it's worth doing? Chances are they decided it's worth doing because, well, Days Gone sold pretty well. Maybe we could get an easy $10 rip and a $50 from anybody who didn't own the game, who's interested. They would only do that for a game that they believed sold well enough to justify it, right? So where do you go from there? There's only one place left to go from there, and that means, well, does this mean they're thinking about a sequel? And I think the answer to that is like probably to an extent. To an extent, it doesn't guarantee anything, but it's like this is what I mean when it's like you gotta if Days Gone didn't sell well, then I think it's safe to say that there's a reason why we're not getting an Order 1886 remaster, right? If Days Gone didn't sell very well, and it wasn't, there weren't still people out here being like, when are we getting a sequel? They're making a movie on it apparently, so Sony clearly believes in it. You wouldn't be hearing about it. You wouldn't be hearing about it at all. Sony would have actually just legitimately moved on from it. And so I'm saying like you gotta pay attention to the numbers, man, because the numbers I think do reveal quite a bit. Is Days Gone 1.5 a success? Titus UK even got the $10 upgrade. Well, I mean, I think it's worth it, man. That's just my opinion. I mean, I'll give my deeper impressions, I think, on Sunday after I get more time with it, but I'm not trying to turn it into one of these things where it's like I'm a shareholder of Sony. Like I'm not. I don't have any stock in Sony, but it's just like I am interested to see the data and to learn like what's going on with this brand and their business at this point because, well, I mean, to be honest, there is one thing looming that I think negates it all potentially, right? And that is, oh look, I seen it, right? The data just came out. They're dropping. PlayStation's starting to dip. The interest is lower. The numbers are, they're on the decline. And then, it leads to like, oh, well, they got to do something. And it's like, but you know what though? GTA 6. And that's where it's like, if you're Sony, you realize you have time. That's the important. If you're Sony, you realize that because of GTA 6, you have time. GTA 6 buys you time to really plan out, like, what do you want to do? Like 5 years from now or like 4 years from now. You have that time. Buy a share, then you can go to the meeting. I still think they stream it. You don't have to be a shareholder to tune into the meeting. The history repeats itself theory doesn't apply to the gaming industry anymore. I would agree with that. Yeah. I mean, so much has shifted so dramatically in such a short period of time that it does feel like, well, Some things will repeat themselves, but you can't bank on it. There are some things prior to the major shift that occurred in the last 2 to 3 years that I would like, because again, man, like you could say somebody is saying, well, Microsoft Xbox is the next Sega, and it's like that's not true. Like it's kind of true. Again, two things can be true at once, but it's like what Microsoft is doing right now is Sega has never done anything like Microsoft is doing right now. Microsoft is doing something that no company has ever done before, where it's like no publisher has had this much pressure due to investment. That's unique to Microsoft. Now, granted, what's also unique to Microsoft is they're worth trillions of dollars. So you could argue that that kind of levels the playing field where, well, if they're worth trillions of dollars, then they should have this level of investment pressure, right? But it's just Microsoft is in a league of their own when it comes to being a publisher. Almost a league of their own. I mean, maybe you could compare EA potentially. EA is probably the closest one. They might be on the same level there. But even then, I mean, geez, it's just they're on another level that is not comparable to, I would say, certainly PlayStation, not Nintendo. And that's not to say it's better or worse. It's just that that's what Microsoft paid for, right? Like Microsoft paid to ensure that you can't compare us to anybody. Like we're not winning, we're not losing. We're literally on our own island right now. It's a big ass island. Like we have our own country now. You know, something like, along those lines. Which actually that's a horrible. Forget that analogy because it's the opposite because they're bringing games everywhere. I'm just saying they're in their own space, and they paid for that. They paid for that space. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because once again, like when we are trying to evaluate the trajectory of Sony and what's about to happen next, well, people are mentioning like, so why is Microsoft dropping all these games at one time? Microsoft's dropping Forza on PlayStation. They're dropping Oblivion in the same way. They got Expedition 33 on Game Pass. They're dropping Indiana Jones. They got Doom in like literally the next 2 weeks. So people are like, why? Like, why are they doing it? And I'm pretty sure it's in an effort to, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think the timing of it all was strategic for investors, you know, to basically show them, like, in case you were wondering if we made a good choice, the right choice to, put our games everywhere. Look at the top selling games on the PlayStation Store right now. You got Oblivion, you got Forza, you got Indiana Jones, you know, and Doom is on there too. And if you're an investor, you can't really argue with that. Where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess that was the right choice. That's my guess anyway, because I think that somebody said Microsoft's earnings came out yesterday, and I think that was wrong. Microsoft's next earnings are April 30th. Okay, so yeah, see, I think that's exactly why. I had a feeling. I'm like, their earnings got to be this week or some shit. Because I'm like, it ain't no coincidence they're doing all this at the same time. And it's actually on the 30th. So yeah, I think that's exactly why they did it. Where the heck is Twisted Metal? It's a great question. Unfortunately, I don't think it's happening. Sony tried, apparently, with Lucid Games, and it just wasn't happening. Lux, you're saying Rockstar might be the first to bypass Steam for PC release. They have their own games launcher. And oh, God. Sorry. Felt like I inhaled a cat hair or something. Saying they have their own game launcher, and GTA 6 would be the perfect game to push it with GTA Plus, as in one of the first to be successful in doing that. Very interesting. I didn't think about that. So, assuming that is what happens, because I think you're right. I think GTA could be the first to be like, we're bigger. We're actually bigger than Steam on PC. We don't need Steam. I think you would see a meltdown from Steam players. But I think, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, no matter how big the meltdown is, you can't stop this train. You can't even slow it down. You know? The bigger question to me is what type of implication that would have on every other publisher, if any. Like, is it, you don't think, you, well, do you guys agree with that? Do you guys disagree? You think it couldn't bypass Steam? It would lose too much support? Steam has too big of a print on PC? When is PlayStation's business meeting? Good question. Let me look that up. I think it's in May. Their business meeting for 2025. I'm not seeing anything come up. I don't think they've actually announced it yet. I think it's usually in May. I know their earnings are in May. Let me see. Sony's next earnings are on May 13th. So if they're going to be doing their yearly business meet, I think it's going to have to. It might be on the same date, but if they do it separately, because sometimes they do like a separate, bigger, more like streamlined, I guess, meeting, or like it's not like a meeting, but it's like their layout and their roadmap or whatever. They might do that a week later, 2 weeks later. GTA 6 will be coming to PC at some point. As of right now, I think people believe it's going to be coming a year later, maybe a year and a half, something like that. It's going to launch on consoles first. Lux with the super chat says you have to install their launcher already to play. Oh, you mean for GTA 5? But isn't GTA 5 on Well, GTA 5 is on Steam. So are you saying you need to install the launcher before you can even play it on Steam? I mean, I wouldn't know. I never tried. You do? Is that normal? Well, Titus is saying you don't. Eric says he was just playing today. Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't answer that question. Diego, you're saying that happens with Red Dead Redemption 2? Titus, you're saying it's been 2 years since you played? Yeah, I mean, that sounds... I feel like that's not normal. So is this something that just Rockstar does? It depends on the game? So you're saying Rockstar isn't the only one that does that? Let me see. What publishers require their launcher on PC? What publishers force their own launcher over Steam? This was ironically enough, this was 2 years ago. So somebody says here, the funniest thing, if you buy GTA 5 on Steam, it forces you to install the Rockstar Games launcher. There you activate GTA, register with your account. When trying to start the game, Rockstar Launcher tells you to please start over with GTA 5 over on Steam. Somebody says there are a couple of things that spring to mind. Some of these are hard launchers. That will show up in your list of installed programs, etc. Whilst some are soft, launchers that basically act as bootstrappers that run when you start the game. Then they run the game's executable. So EA, Ubisoft, CD Projekt Red, Rockstar, Creative Assembly. Technically, Sega is the publisher. 2K Games. Then there are games which don't have launchers. Oh my god, this sounds like a fucking nightmare, dude. Well, you know what? I'll tell you this. I don't play on PC. I do play on PS5, as you know. I been playing some Forza Horizon 5 on PS5. Now, it required me to sign into my Microsoft account, which I had no problem doing because I have a Microsoft account. But you need to sign into a Microsoft account. And what's very interesting, I noticed, is that, like, at least it seems interesting to me, is when I signed into my Microsoft account, it's like when I'm playing Forza Horizon 5, it's showing me my Xbox logo, my Xbox, like on Xbox, I have it like LL, LL. It's like lowercase L's, but in a lot of games, they end up looking capital. And I had like my Xbox logo picture. I'm like, well, this is kind of weird. So it like pretty much it like removes all the PlayStation stuff that would otherwise be there. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't recall, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't really recall like that being like that for any other game I've ever played on PlayStation. LL, LL. I can't stop catching those L's, bro. Appropriate. The most appropriate name ever. Apparently, Valve are thinking about mandating it all goes through only Valve, but the change isn't made yet. That would be interesting. That would be such a strong arm move on Valve's part. That doesn't sound like them. Does it? I feel like Valve, like, they always kind of gave me this vibe that they're just like, eh. They've always given me the vibe that they don't feel threatened enough by anything to do anything ever. And so it kind of benefits everybody because they're just like, whatever, do what you want. So if they were to do that, that would be kind of interesting because it would almost kind of signal that they do feel some kind of pressure, maybe, or some kind of threat, right? Well, to be fair, Titus, I don't know where you're getting that info from. I'm going to take your word for it. It's a kind of pro-consumer friendly thing, but it's also anti-choice, so it's 50-50. Yeah. It's like, we're going to force you to do this, but trust us, right? Like, we're going to do right by you. But, yeah, it's like, are you really doing right by us by not... Well, I don't know. It's interesting when you view it that way, because it's like, well, we're going to fight... We're going to remove the publisher's ability to force you to choose. So, like, by removing choice, we're making your life better. Very weird, actually. It was extra info my AI provided. Well, thank you, Titus. They are threatened because they only release their games on Steam. MBG, to me, it seems launchers are used to scan games to make sure the game isn't pirated. That would make sense. Yeah, I'll be honest, man. Like, as long as console gaming exists, I will never go to PC. PC, and I don't say this, like, I get it. I know there's always, like, it's like warring factions, bro. I don't mean any offense to PC gamers, and I really don't. But it's just like, if I had to deal with that shit, and that's like the only way I could play games, I would be playing games a lot less. I would get so fucking annoyed. I would just be like, I can't. Now, maybe in like in the long run, I could get used to it and adjusted. But maybe I'm a simpleton. I don't know. There's so much about PC that seems like. Oh, actually, I had a really interesting. Speaking of PC, something I came across. Check this out. This was from Gaming Bolt. They say during its recent live stream for Marathon, where developers answered questions from the community, Bungie has revealed why it decided to add aim assist for players that use mouse and keyboard rather than restricting it for controller users. In the video, when asked about the decision to have aim assist only be a toggle regardless of an input device, the developers said that it was a new thing the studio was trying in order to give itself more ways to tinker with the game's balance. The decision was also made to keep parity between keyboard and mouse players and controller players in terms of skill ceiling. Typically speaking, aim assistance is disabled for mouse and keyboard users, while controller users tend to get a slider that allows them to decide what level of assistance they would like with their aim. This is like something we're trying out as a lever to keep the parity close between mouse and keyboard and controller, answered a developer. We want to get it out and get a feeling for it. Right now, we don't think it's in the most perfect spot or anything. We're definitely trying to get folks' reactions to this as a lever for getting parity without losing the skill ceiling and skill expression that you get with the input of your choosing, whether it be mouse and keyboard or controller. That's why it's a setting to go on and off. We definitely know that there's players that definitely don't want any kind of assistance at all with their aim. They want the raw input feel. So that's why it's a toggle on the menu. We're not trying to have it be a must pick kind of thing. Folks kind of feel differently when they play, and we're looking to get that feedback and then tune aggressively according to what it falls in line with their expectations. This is us getting this thing out there to get some thoughts on it and then iterate from there. Marathon's take on aim assist has been getting quite a bit of criticism from players that have been taking part in the game's current alpha. Some have taken to Reddit to voice their displeasure with the feature, with one example being Reddit user Carmelo V, I don't know who that is, talking about how heavy-handed the aim assist feels even on mouse and keyboard. Twitch streamer Shroud, known for playing competitive first-person shooters, has also criticized the aim assistance in the game, saying that the feature is making the PC version worse in an attempt to have more parity in terms of gameplay between keyboard and mouse users and controller users. He says, I get that they're trying to balance between console and PC for crossplay, but it's only going to ruin the PC part of the game. You're basically trying to help PC be balanced against console, but you're just watering down PC. So the whole time I was reading this, the only thing I was thinking to myself is, wait, can you not turn crossplay off? And Lux with the super chat says aim assist should always be off. Well, like I'm over here waiting for them to kind of end the write up by being like, but you can turn, I guess what I'm trying to say is like the fact that they're forcing aim assist makes me feel like, are they trying to go for like a you can't turn off crossplay with PC situation? Is that anybody here who played the Marathon Alpha? Did you happen to notice if there was an option? Because like I'll tell you right now, if there's no option to remove crossplay, there is a crossplay toggle. Okay, good. I was gonna say, dude, like that. So I can understand. Yeah, I could definitely understand why PC players would be frustrated with that because it's like, why force that? If crossplay is an option, there doesn't need to necessarily be an equalizer. You know, if they were trying to force crossplay and you couldn't toggle it off. It's enabled for the alpha. You're playing on Steam. Well, Mr. B says there is a crossplay toggle. Eric, you're saying you like the idea of playing games wherever you feel like. I enjoy both PlayStation platform and PC. I'm also a sucker for paying twice for games to play them in either place. You're not the only one. I mean, it's hard to argue with the freedom to play games where you want, right? I don't think people see that as a bad thing. Sorry, the topic, we've been kind of jumping all over the place, man. We talked about a little bit about Days Gone. We talked about Resistance. We talked about Resident Evil. Now we're just kind of free flowing into different areas. Why Microsoft account on PlayStation? Yeah, where's the outrage there? I just assume that's how Microsoft's going to do it. The greatest irony here in all of this is that Marathon doesn't require a PSN account. That's like the greatest irony. PS5 is the home console. PC is more on the go with handheld, you think? Yeah, Mr. B, just to circle back around to that. Just to circle back around to that for a moment, I will say that if there's no rhyme or reason for Sony to remove their own games from PS Plus, then fuck them, dude. Because like that, it just like to me that's just an a-hole move where it's like you're increasing the price of PlayStation Plus in so many regions, and you're like, we're just also going to take out some of our own games. Why? Like, like that genuinely just Sony's got to be careful, dude, with PS Plus. I mean, I feel like they're probably fine right now, but they stopped announcing their PS Plus numbers clearly because they plateaued and probably started going down. I think they peaked in like 2021. Now, granted, a lot of that was probably due to, you know, the pandemic and whatnot, artificially bumping them up, but still, prices have gone up. And days like today, where they're like, we're removing 22 games, 3 of which are our own games, because with no explanation. It's like, I don't, I don't think it. I don't know, man. I don't know. Be careful, Sony, because I think at some point you might start. I mean, nothing's going to change if people don't leave in mass, but they just keep kind of pushing it, you know? We'll see, though. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe they're going to have, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to jinx it. I'm not going to say that. I'm not saying shit. I know how this goes. I'm literally about to jinx it, so I'm not going to. Lux, you're saying one thing I like about the Xbox account sign in when I bought Halo Master Chief Collection on Steam and unlocked all the achievements on Steam I'd gotten from my Xbox playthrough. Apparently, that's a thing. Yeah, people found out with Indiana Jones on PS5 that I think if you linked your Microsoft account to it, if you got every achievement, you like instantly unlock the platinum. And I'm like, damn, dude, that's wild. We're seeing Xbox achievements being converted into PlayStation trophies in real time. That is wild. I do like that. Yeah, that is cool. I didn't think it was going to be taken that far. So, like, presumably, if the Master Chief Collection does come to PlayStation at some point, and you do sign in your Microsoft account, if you're somebody who is crazy enough to get all those achievements, you'll automatically have all the trophies. Boss won't tolerate your fear. He's over there on the other side of the room. He's laying with his paws all the way stretched out, just like straight. And he just looked at me like, "You got a problem?" I'm like, no problem, boss. No problem. How many plats do I have? I have 48 platinums. I got to get to that 50th. Yeah. The last platinum I got was, I think Terminator Resistance. Great game. I enjoyed it. Removing Resistance and Infamous from PS Plus doesn't worry me unless they're completely removed from the store. Could mean a remaster is on the cards, knowing the road Sony's on. I mean, you think they're going to remaster Infamous Second Son? I feel like people would be upset if they remastered Second Son because they're like, what about the original Infamous games that we've been begging for? Boss is pretty nice. He like never claws me. The only time Boss ever even thinks about clawing me is if I'm purposely messing with him. Like if he's just like sitting there chilling and I just start like, pushing him around a little bit and making it seem like, because he knows not to play like that because he knows the claws hurt, but he's still a man, right? He gets annoyed. One of the funniest things with Boss, I don't think I could ever show you since my camera's fixed, but sometimes when he's laying on the ground, if I like go up behind him, and he'll do this thing where like if I just place my hands on him, he'll just completely go sideways, just completely limp, and I just start sliding him, and he gets so annoyed, dude. He gets so pissed because he's like, I guess he just feels like he's in a vulnerable position. Like I'm just like sliding him around on the floor. And that's when he'll be like, he'll start meowing at me and giving me a warning, like, bro, if you don't knock it off, I'm a scratch your ass up, bro. He's good though. He's a good cat, but speaking of my cats for a moment here, they're getting really annoying at night. They wait. And I don't know, I guess this is a relatively normal cat thing. They wait as soon as the lights go off and I'm in bed, I just hear all this crazy shit. Like, I hear so many noises, and I'm like, what are they doing? Like, it sounds like they're going to break something. Sounds like they're up to no good. I wake up today, I see the treat container knocked over on the ground. Somebody was trying to open those treats. I wake up, we have this like a chase rug, I guess. We have like hardwood floors, and so in the hallway we have like this chase rug. I wake up, both of these things this morning, not only were the treats knocked over, but the rug completely flipped upside down and somehow condensed. I have no idea. I think that was Luna who did that. She's kind of nuts. But it's like, how? Like that literally looked like only a human could do that. Or a much, much larger animal. How is that even possible? 12 a.m. zoomies? Yeah, the other day I woke up, I had like a scratch on my forehead. I'm like, okay, which one of you is fucking jumping on my head at night while I'm sleeping? And apparently I'm like knocked out. I didn't even wake up. A night camera to watch the cats. That's a good idea. I would love to do that. I should just I should invest in that. A night camera and maybe get a couple, place them around. But even if I know, what am I going to do about it, you know? Shems is a true gamer and a gentleman. Oh, you guys are still talking about Infamous? I heard the PS3 Infamous games are really good. I never got a chance to play them. I would like, yeah, it would be cool if they remastered those for PS5. Your cat tries to scratch your feet when you're in bed. Super annoying. Now that sounds annoying. They're not that annoying. I would get so pissed. I think Luna tried that for like the first couple weeks that she was here. And I would yell at her, like, stop. And I think she learned real quick, like, okay, I can't do that. Luna didn't realize, and that's the funny thing about cats, like, if she was a kitten, she definitely didn't realize that, like, her claws hurt. So she would just scratch the shit out of, like, me and Megan just for no reason. And I guess she would see our reactions and be like, oh, I guess that's bad. I shouldn't do that. And now she knows. Boss knows I'm talking about him. Come on, bro. Come hang out. You look glazed over, man. You good? Don't jump up there. Oh my god. Ever since I made more space on my desk here, he thinks it's his spot now. Infamous is amazing. Good story, fantastic gameplay and control scheme. I did play Second Son, and I thought Second Son was really good. I did really enjoy Second Son. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I mean, it was cool being able to make decisions on, like, the karma system. And also the game graphically looked very good. Like, looking back on it, I'm like, damn, that was only a PS4 game and it looked really good. Your bedroom is off limits to the cats. That's smart. Oh, you're finishing off that catnip, bro. After giving boss some crack snacks, MBG asked him, you look glazed, bro. You good? Yeah, right. I just say shit. I just say shit. I don't even realize what I say half the time. So, all right, let me Bloomberg analyst expects the Switch 2 to launch with 6 to 8 million consoles available on June 5th worldwide. Biggest console launch in gaming history. Wow. Okay. But I thought everybody hated it. I thought everybody hated the Switch. Lost Soul, Death Stranding 2, Yote, on the next 5 months, Wolverine, Phantom Blade Zero, Saros, Intergalactic, FF7, 2027, plus showcases after Death Stranding 2 drops. More first and second party announcements. Sorry to hear that, Night of Well, I mean, I'm sorry to hear it, but that's also some good memories. Night of Cypher. Well, there's no doubt that Sony has more remakes and remasters in the works. I think the question is like, what's left? I feel like we're at a point where they have no choice but to start working on older stuff now. Right? Please don't let the next one be God of War 2018, bro. I can't take it. Perfect Image, you're saying, MBG, it's the console price game. Sorry, Perfect Image. I'm having trouble reading that one. You know, it's crazy, man. I'm seeing Switch Lite prices around $100 in the secondhand market. I feel like Nintendo are about to pick up a second wind in the cheaper segment of gaming. It's all part of their master plan to surpass the PS2. June 5th, you're going to try to get a Switch 2, Corey? Well, dude, I came across this report. I thought I had it up on screen. Hold on. Where is it? Okay, I guess I lost it. It was basically Nintendo warning that you might not get your Switch 2 if you pre-ordered it. Like something crazy like that. Yeah, here we go. Wait, no, that's not the right report. Where the hell is it? Oh, by the way, I'm seeing here Skate will not have an offline mode. Still slated for early access launch in 2025. I'm okay with that. I mean, the next Skate game is going to be a live service. They want it to be multiplayer online. I'm cool. They're going to be evolving the map and shit and adding to it. Sounds good to me. I'll be there. I might actually play this game in early access. I'm not an early access type of person, but I'm eager to play the next Skate game. Am I going to get the Yote Special Edition? No. No, see, I didn't mention this earlier when I was talking to you guys about getting like review codes and stuff, but it's making me realize that, like, bro, some of these games, like, now I have to think, like, well, I guess I still have to, like, I want to buy it, but my brain is doing that thing where it's like you have the game already. You don't have to buy it. You know what I mean? So it's like every time I input a digital code, it's like you don't need to buy this now. It's like, but I want to. But there's like that rational side of me that's like, why? Like, save your money, dude. Like you have the game, save your money. And I'm like, but physical, you know? And that's a problem because it's like, we're talking about like Death Stranding. I doubt I'm going to be able to review Death Stranding, right? And I'm totally cool not. That's a game that I'm going to be there day one. If anything, it'd probably be better for me to experience it with you guys at the same time. Because the thing about reviewing like single player games, people are terrified of like spoilers and shit, and I get it. I felt so weird not being able to talk to you guys about Claire Expedition for like 3 weeks, and I'm streaming every day, and I'm like, if only you guys knew. But it's like, oh well, do you want to buy the digital version for $80 and get it 2 days early? And it's like, no. I mean, yeah, but like, no. Yeah. God, if anything, I should try to push to get a review code for Death Stranding. I should get super aggressive with that because I could get that. I'm not even trying to brag because, like, dude, it's a double-edged sword. In my this is like the first time I'm experiencing it, but like I can't deny, and it's just true, man. Like, if you are playing games to review them, you didn't pay for them, you didn't buy them. You're it's not the same. And that's fine. It doesn't have to be. But it's like, you're doing a job now. Your job, you got to beat this game and you got to tell people what it's like, what your thoughts are on it. And you got to do it in a certain time frame. I've reviewed games more casually in the past where it's like, I'm playing it at the same time as everybody else. I'm taking my sweet old time with it. And now I'm going to talk about it. It's just different. It's different. There's just no way around it. It's different. Don't tempt the wrath of Kojima and friends. Nakamichi with a super chat says, I don't know if I plan on buying the Switch 2. I just hope that Metroid Prime 4 doesn't suck ass. For your sake, Nakamichi, I hope so. I hope it doesn't. Let's hope it doesn't suck ass. Yeah, I'm just not feeling the Switch 2, man. I suspected that. Now I know Megan's gonna want one. I know she's gonna want one. But even she was like, she's waiting on other games. The games that Nintendo showed off for the Switch 2 so far are not ones that she feels eager to play or anything. I mean, we could definitely see ourselves playing Mario Kart World, but that's always going to be there. So she's waiting on that. And me, I'm just like, practically indifferent. Hanzo, this is MBG's foot in the door for future PlayStation CEO. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like I've been breaking some of my rules, Like I remember when I started this channel, and for the longest time I'm like, I'm not doing review codes. I'm not going to take reviews from if I ever get the chance, cuz like, I just want to keep it as like I want to do it the same way you guys are doing it, where it's like I'm spending my own money on the games, and there's no pressure there. It's just going to be as casual and as, I don't want to say authentic, because it's not that it isn't authentic, but it's much more relaxed. It's more like I'm going to be talking to you guys like we're hanging out at a bar, and I'm telling you about this game I'm playing, or we're talking about the game we're both playing. It's that versus like, all right, I need you guys to come in here. I got to tell you whether or not this is worth your time and money. And I feel like there is a difference there. I always knew there was, but it's interesting to get both sides of the coin now. Lux, you're saying some reviewers buy it after they review it, so no bias. That's smart, yeah. I do want to buy Claire Obscure Expedition. That I definitely want to get in my collection. That's a good. It's such. Claire Obscure was such a crazy surprise, dude. Like I mean, like no matter what happens this year, like obviously GTA 6 is my most anticipated game, Metal Gear Solid Delta, but there's no doubt that when I reflect on 2025, I'm gonna be like, biggest surprise of 2025, unless something else even crazier happens, for sure. Expedition 33. They ain't paying. I'll get around to it on my own time. MEG, you've gotten lucky having games you enjoyed. Imagine if you got a code and had a review game you didn't like. Well, that's what's most interesting to me is the Microsoft thing, where like it was easy for me. So previously with Microsoft, they offered me a code for Sea of Thieves and Grounded. But the thing about it is those codes were not review codes. They're just gifted codes. We're like, here you go. If you want to, no NDA, no nothing. It's just like, if you want to play it, go play it. If not, that's cool. Which was surprising. I'm like, oh, okay. Forza Horizon 5 is the first time where they're like, do you want to be part of like that they have an embargo for it. Now it feels a little strange because it's like this game's like 5 years old and like we have an embargo for a 5-year-old game. It's a little awkward just because it's like if like it's out there, right? Like I could literally stream myself playing Forza Horizon 5 on PC, and it's like, oh, there you go. But that was interesting to me because I'm like, well, are there going to be day one games from Xbox, like new games, not ports, new day one games from Xbox Studios on PS5? Are they going to want me to be part of that review cycle? Because now that's where things get really interesting. Where it's like, let's say Gears of War E-Day comes out this year. It's like, should I expect to be invited to that? Do I want to? I mean, I don't know. Like, am I the person that should be coming out here and be like, let me review Gears of War E-Day? I don't. I'm going to be honest. Like, a part of me feels like I don't know. I don't know that that's I don't know that that's the best idea per se, but it's tantalizing. That's something like State of Decay 3 or something. It's like, yeah, okay, fuck. But I don't know. I'm a little bit torn on it. I'm a little bit torn. And, I'm not trying to come off ungrateful or anything. I'm extremely, like, don't get me wrong. Like, the idea of, like, wow, I never thought I'd be in a position where it's like, you're getting some free games to play. Isn't that cool? It's like, yeah, it's very cool. It's like the dream. But I don't know, man. I've always taken this approach with my channel where it's like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like outsider, but like, I don't know, just not really having any ties like that per se. Like you're saying, plenty of creators get codes and trash the games. Well, that's the whole thing, right? Is it's the point of a review is you got to be honest, and that's not something I'm worried about. I think it's important to understand. And this is something I think maybe not everybody understands, but like, there's no obligation with reviews. And so that's why I guess I'm just like, I'm probably overthinking it for no reason, but there is no obligation with reviews. You don't have to do them. Like the whole idea is you're being given the opportunity to just simply try it and then give your thoughts. And that's why, like, that's exactly what I did with Forza Horizon 5, man. And I had no problem. I still have no problem. Like, if you're a racing game enthusiast, you need to play Forza Horizon 5. It's an incredible game. I have no problem recommending it. But I kind of knew that. I kind of knew that because I played Forza Horizon 4 extensively. I don't know, I'm more interested in games that I'm not familiar with. That's why Claire Obscure Exposition was so interesting to me, because it was just like that very well could have been like my first major review, and I'm like, this game fucking sucks. But no, it was good, man. Right now, nothing at the moment. Just because this last week everything pretty much came out. I don't think I'm gonna get the opportunity to review Doom. I could be wrong. I'll see if that pops up or not. I don't know that I'm gonna seek that out though, because it's like, well, shit. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to play it, because like the one thing that's been so difficult lately is juggling these games, dude. Like, I want to sit down and play Days Gone. That's what I want to do right now. I want to prioritize Days Gone because I've been waiting for this. I know it's a remaster, and a lot of people are not interested in it, but I'm like, I've been waiting to play this game again. And that Horde Assault mode, bro. Played it a little bit more yesterday. I'm like, okay, this is actually pretty sick. Lux with the super chat says, dude, there's literal millionaires on Twitch like Excusey, Asmongold, and tons of others who get free codes and special editions posted to them. Get what you can. Yeah. I think I'm like a strange individual, because I feel like most people, yeah, they're that's like, get it, bro, get it. I'm like, well, maybe. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. Lux, stop it. You're making me have an existential crisis. Well, it's not your fault. It's my fault. I ruminate, in case you couldn't tell. I'm a ruminator. And man, if I could just figure out how to not ruminate, my life would probably be so much better. Is Days Gone remastered much smoother than the OG? Yo, hold on. It is. I got a little micro rant here. Okay. I got a comment yesterday. What? Hold on. Okay, now I got two micro rants. Sony. Why am I seeing a video uploaded by the official PlayStation YouTube channel, The Last of Us, from console to culture, franchise expansion beyond video games? Well, actually, I am going to watch that. I'm actually interested. But god damn it, why is there another video? Sony, stop. I'm just kidding. I'm not actually. That's interesting though, because it's like it almost seems like it's a little podcast. It's like 24 minutes. And I wonder if they reveal anything in there. Anyway, the thing I actually wanted to rant about was from my it's not really a rant. It's just a little bit of whining and complaining. But I want to set the record straight here. Wait, now the comments go. Hold on. Oh, okay. So this person left a comment and they were like, MBG during the stream says, I haven't played this game since 2019. MBG in the same stream, this game, it looks so much better than the original. And they were like, total bullshit. And I'm like, what? And again, people were upvoting these comments like, what's the bullshit? I'm like, I don't remember the control scheme of Days Gone because I haven't played it since 2019. So I have to relearn the controls. That's what I was struggling with. That's why I kept saying I haven't played it since 2019. I don't remember how exactly do I heal? How do I roll again? There's a big difference between remembering a control scheme for a game and remembering how a game looked and played. And if there's one thing I can remember very clearly is how Days Gone looked and played, because the game ran at 30 frames. The game still looked pretty damn good on the PS4 Pro. No doubt about that. But this is what I mean. Like, yeah, what's up with the haters, bro? Like, now you're hating because I'm saying the game actually looks good? I even said, you know, these people want to go out of their way to quote me. Why aren't you going to quote me when I said it's not a night and day difference? Because it's not. It's still the same game, top to bottom. It just looks better. Yes, it looks improved. And this person left a comment basically being like, making fun of the fact that I was highlighting PSSR. And I'm like, bro, I was literally sitting there switching between performance mode and enhanced mode, which uses PSSR, seeing if I could see a difference. And there was a significant difference. I mean, look, yeah, if you're coming in, it's like, am I going to be the one as a Days Gone fan to be like, this game sucks? This is the most pointless shit ever. Like, no. No, if you want that, go somewhere else. I have no problem telling people that. But I just love when people come and they're like, so let me get this straight, bro. You liked Days Gone when you played it in 2019? And you like the remaster now too? 6 years later? Yeah. Isn't that fucking nuts? Who would have thought? Anyway, just me being a little salty, you know? I wish dude, if I said the shit that I think in my head, I'm pretty sure I'd get straight up demonetized on YouTube. Pretty damn sure I'd get straight up demonetized because there's like a side to me that people don't know. My wife knows, not in a bad way. Because she sometimes, you know, when I'm alone and I'm speaking my shit, you know, she's like, you can't say that, and I'm like, I know I can't say that. That's why I'm saying it alone, where nobody except you can hear me. It would be funny though. Like it would. Like I've thought about it. I'm not gonna lie. I've thought about like just, you know what? One day I'm just gonna let it. Like the filter's gone. But no, Titus. Luckily, I've never done that. But I can't do that. I can't just remove the filter because it's like, you know, I would end up, like, no joke, getting immediately demonetized on YouTube. I transform. I become much hairier. Seeing some streamers like David Jaffe swear a lot. Well, David Jaffe, I mean, I don't really watch him. I've come across him a couple times. He's like a loose cannon. Dude, people were saying it. They're like, bro, you look like Deacon St. John. Me and my wife had this idea. We had this idea. We're like, do you guys know the channel Ice Spice? Or Space Ice? Not Ice Spice. Isn't that a singer? Space Ice? Ice Spice. What the fuck am I saying? Space Ice. Jesus. Do you guys know that channel? That's that singer. Anyway, this is the guy who like he does these videos on like 80s movies and 90s movies and stuff from we've reacted to some of his videos in the members lounge. Like the Steven Seagal movies where it's like, and now he's over here karate chopping this guy in the neck for no reason whatsoever. Like he talks like that. I was like, bro, I should do that for games. Cause me and Megan yesterday were just like laughing and like doing shit like that when talking about Days Gone. Like Boozer can't sleep without his shotgun. Boozer's in the corner over there, meanwhile, needing his shotgun to go nighty-night. I don't know. It was just stupid. We were just making each other laugh, but we were like, we should like maybe try to actually make a channel and do this more seriously. It would be pretty funny. But it reminded me of that guy's. That's where the inspiration came from. I'm like, he does such a good job, and like, I'm not kidding when I tell you, like, I can't watch those videos that he makes that often because they make me laugh that hard. Like, it becomes painful. I'm like, this is literally some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. It's funny when MBG drops a new vid, I instantly saw people bitching about what Sony doesn't do or bots. When we're like, we love Days Gone, the remaster is great. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, man. It's just like, bro, direct that energy towards Sony, not me. Like, why is it got to be directed towards the people who are just enjoying themselves? In a world where console wars have fizzled out, stands one warrior that refuses to succumb. You've been watching channels that break down films and the themes. You'd be good at that. You think so? Yeah, I do enjoy that stuff. I do enjoy it. Can't do 30 frames on Days Gone. 1440 isn't ideal. I need that Pro. Yeah, I won't lie, man. The enhanced mode on the PS5 Pro for Days Gone is very good. Like, I'm not just saying that. It's actually very good. I was playing it a little bit more, and I was more thoroughly examining the performance mode and I can't do the fidelity mode. I'm with you. Like, I'm starting to realize, like, okay, maybe I can't go back to 30 frames. Maybe it's because I'm switching through them and it takes time for your eyes to readjust to 30 frames, but I was like, okay, I'm just going to stick to the enhanced mode. And the more I was looking at it, I'm like, this looks really good. I got you, Ray. Yeah, the 30 frames it's hard to go back to. I mean, once your eyes adjust to it, it's definitely playable. It's more than playable. I mean, I played many games at 30 frames. But it's just once you get adjusted and used to that 60, it is hard to go back. Boot up the PSVR 2. Oh my god, no way. The reason why I can't do it is because it always gives me a massive headache and ruins my day. PSVR 2 straight, like, as I gotta hope that 30 minutes to an hour that I spend playing PSVR 2 is worth it because it ruins the entire day. It is gathering dust. I'm not gonna lie. I feel bad because like I did enjoy it. It's just I could never get adjusted to it. I was loving Resident Evil 4 remake in VR, dude. I'm like, this is amazing. But I just, I'm like playing it for 35 minutes. I'm like, I'm gonna throw up. Like, I'm gonna fucking throw up. I need to take this off my head right now. And then I'm just nauseous and have a headache for the rest of the day. And I'm like, this is amazing, but this also sucks. And then other people are like, they say to take like Dramamine, I think. It's like anti-nausea or anti-motion sickness. And I'm like, bro, come on. Like, I need to take medication just to fucking play a game. Like, I mean, getting a little crazy up in here. Neo Exodus, a member for 15 months. Thank you for that, buddy. Saying, did you do the Nero stealth missions mission first time? I I don't I don't recall. What I do know, Neo, is that yesterday when I was replaying, I was it made me realize like, man, I don't remember how to play this game. Like I remember the game. I don't remember how to play it. And so everything's kind of coming back to me. And then you go to the first like Nero checkpoint or whatever, and I just like didn't disable the speakers or whatever. And I'm like, what's going on? Like this is really annoying and it's attracting all these freakers. It's like, no, do that. Like that's the first thing you got to do. You got to disable the speakers or it's going to ruin your life. But I will say this. I'm going to go deeper into the game like I said on Sunday. One thing I will say is for what I played of Days Gone Remastered so far, I've always maintained that this game is far from perfect. It's a great game. It's not like a 10 out of 10 game or even like a 9 out of 10. I mean, it depends on who you ask, but from a gameplay perspective, there is a little bit of jankiness. That there's certain aspects of the gameplay of Days Gone that you could tell, like, if they were given the opportunity to refine this for a sequel and tighten it up a little bit, I think it would be one of the best playing games out there. And I'm not saying it doesn't feel, it feels very good to play, but it's just there are certain aspects of it that if they tighten it up a bit, I think, yeah, it would elevate it. And I don't know, man. They got to do it. Would I be down for a new DMC? Yeah, dude. I didn't really play DMC 5, but I do have some experience with Devil May Cry, and I've always enjoyed it. I just never. That's like a franchise that I've kind of messed with intermittently here and there, but yeah, a Devil May Cry 6, I would welcome that, dude. Absolutely. Yeah, I assume it's in the works. You always change the controls to your liking. I could never do that. Yeah, unless it was something really egregious from like I can't adjust to this. I will say, in Days Gone, you press R1 to roll. That's very. I like it. It's not bad, but I'm not used to it. I'm like, well, that's abnormal. My hype for Lost Soul, I think it looks great. I see. This is the thing. This is the problem I always run into. Like, I want to do everything in Days Gone. I want to thoroughly play this game and get every trophy, do everything there is to do. I want to max out Horde Assault, replay the story. I want to do everything. Yo. Do you hear Boss being a big baby? Did you guys hear that? I don't know if that picked up on the mic. You did? Okay. Yeah, he was messing with Leia. He sounds like he's like, I don't know, he just like gets mad at Leia for no reason. Like she's not even doing anything. He's just like, eh. Is Luna in here? She's not in here currently, no. But yeah, what I was gonna say is that like I want to re-experience Days Gone again. Now that it's even better with the Pro and it has some extra game modes. But the thing is, like, and I could already feel this immediately, and it all started to come back to me yesterday. I'm like, yeah, I took my good old time with Days Gone, dude. Like Days Gone was a game that I savored, and I do remember, like I said, I remember so much of it very well. But it's such a long game, and there's so much in it that I'm like, there's also a lot I forgot. It's been 6 years, and it's nice to it's. I know it sounds maybe like a nonsensical thing to say, but it is somewhat fresh. It's like, wow, like, you go play a game that you haven't played in literally years, over half a decade, and you're like, I would have thought that it would feel more familiar to me in a sense. And so it's a nice little surprise that it's not. And I feel like, okay, some of this kind of feels new, even though I know it's not. Which is good, because I was afraid that I was gonna like start playing and be like, oh wow, I did like it feels like I just played this yesterday. I don't really want to do it again. But you mentioned Lost Soul Aside. So Lost Soul Aside's coming out May 30th. I will buy that game day one, no matter what, because I want to support that game just because I know it was made by one developer and Sony supported it for like 10 years. I'm like, and it looks really good, to be clear. Like, I'm not just buying it for the sake of buying it. Like, it does look really good. I want to play it. Um, I'm just getting nervous because it's like, this is what happens. Once I start getting into these games, like, somebody asked me this question, and this is important for me to tell you guys. Like, somebody asked me this question: did reviewing Claire Obscure Expedition 33 impact your enjoyment of it? And I said no, but I also said that the big thing that it did change is the way in which I chose to play it. Where Claire Obscure it took me like 35 hours to beat, so it's not a short game. And it's 60 hours if you're going to do everything, but I took what would have been easily about a month or so. Like, I would have taken about a month to beat that game at the rate I like to play games. Maybe a little bit, maybe like 3.5 weeks for the main story and then some extra stuff. But for all intents and purposes, probably about a month. And I did it in like a week and a half, or, maybe 2 weeks. And there's just no denying that, like, the only thing I didn't like about it is I didn't get to savor it. And that's what sucked, is it's just like, it's over now. Like, I finished it and I can't re-experience it for the first time again. I can replay it again if I want. I can slow it down if I want. I can savor it if I want, but I won't get that first experience again. And so, and maybe I will do that. I was thinking about it, although it's going to be hard because there's just so much to play. But this is where it's like, we got Days Gone Remastered just dropped today. A month from now, Lost Soul Aside's dropping. And then a month after Lost Soul Aside is Death Stranding 2. And I'm like, okay, all of these games are big. Days Gone is a massive game. It seems like Lost Soul Aside is going to be a massive game. And I know for a fact Death Stranding 2 is going to be a massive game. So it's like, man, these are games that I'm going to want to take my time with and savor. So I don't know, man. There's other games in between that I also want to play. Like, that's the problem. I would like to play Elden Ring Night Rain, but it's like, how am I going to squeeze that in there? What about Doom? And there's probably some other games I'm not even. There's what's that game that's coming out in June? Mind's Eye, and I'm like, this is what the fuck? Like, it really feels, it's like I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't want to rush these games. I don't want to. I want to savor these games, bro, and I don't know how I'm gonna do that. That's why sometimes I feel like I just have to take a step back. It's like, don't overthink it. Just play them at your pace. That's it. Like, they're not going anywhere. They're never going anywhere. Doom does look pretty epic. Yeah. A lot of hype for Doom. I mean, that's it. Like, that's a game I would like to play, but I'm like wondering, like, okay, so Doom comes out literally smack dab in between Days Gone Remastered and Lost Soul Aside. So it's like, how far along how far along will I be with Days Gone Remastered? Will I feel comfortable to play Doom? Because if I play Doom, I'm going to want to do everything in Doom. Am I going to be able to balance those two out? Am I going to be able to beat Doom in time for a Lost Soul Aside? But am I going to be in a situation where it's like, now I'm trying to play Days Gone, Lost Soul Aside, and Doom, and I'm just not able to play all three at once? It's a tough one. It's a really tough one. You think Mind's Eye looks like it'll flop? I hope it doesn't. We need more like kind of single player games like that. I mean, hopefully it's good. If it's not good, then I guess it would deserve to flop. But oh, okay. So I'm looking at the time here. Me and the wife do have a movie date today, so I think we'll stream for about another 10 minutes or so, another 10 or 15 minutes. Maybe we'll wrap it up at the 3-hour mark. So we'll do like a last call here, guys. If you want to drop any more direct support, whether that be more membership gifts. It says we're sitting at 26 members. So I don't know if that's reflected. I don't know why it says 26. Take us with you. But if you want to drop any more membership gifts, if you want to become a member, any more super chats, any more direct donations, now is the time to do that before we wrap up. And yeah, I appreciate all the support you guys have been showing. I've been trying my best to stay consistent with the content. We've been doing a lot of streams, a lot of videos. And I mean, let's see, it's 25th. So we're in the last week of April. And so going into May, things might, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a month. It's a month where big shit is known to happen. Or some shit anyway. Whether it's going to be big or not remains to be seen. But I hope Lost Soul Aside doesn't flop. You just read the title of the stream? Hanzo, you just read it now, 2 hours and 45 minutes into the stream. Nice. We're actually going to go see Until Dawn. Yeah. Megan's pretty excited for that. We played Until Dawn together. We really enjoyed it. And we watched the trailer. And the description of the movie is what she's excited about. Because it's Cabin in the Woods meets Groundhog Day. And Cabin in the Woods is one of her favorite horror movies of all time. So I'm like, okay, yeah. And shit, I'm not against seeing it. But I want to see. You think it looks awful? I'll let you know. My expectation when I'm finished watching the Until Dawn movie is, this is just my expectation, is okay. It's a fine time. I don't expect to be like, oh my God, that was amazing. I don't expect to be like, holy shit, that was awful. I just expect to kind of be like, Ghost 2 just dropped weapon types. Okay. Sony. What? What's going on? What's going on with the shadow drops here? Where did they drop this news though? Let me check Sucker Punch's Twitter. Let's see. It's not on their Twitter. Wait, are you guys sure? Variety? What the fuck? That's where they drop the weapons? Variety? I can't tell if you're serious or not. I know they did an interview with Variety, but you're telling me that's where they revealed all the new weapons? Rainbow Katana. Hold on. They just did a piece on it. You know what? Let me go check. I'll go. Hold on. This is what I mean. I'm going to be so pissed, dude. I'm going to go check Variety. So I'm on the website now. They have their Until Dawn review. Okay, Variety Ghost of Yote. Okay, so they did do a piece on Ghost of Yote. Directors unpack vibrant new trailer and tease Atsu's weapons. Now let me go check the PlayStation blog. Doom. Hold on, though. Oh, I accidentally left my stream. Hold on. Oops. I can't see my chat. So the only thing that's on the PlayStation blog, as far as I can tell, it says here, Ghost of Yote comes to PS5 on October 2nd. This Variety interview was published the same day. So wait, whoa, hold on. Question from Variety. Some accused the game of being woke when Atsu was revealed as the main character? Why was a female protagonist the right choice for the story? This is Jason Connell, I think. I think that's his name. He says, we knew we had all these fans who love Tsushima. We want to carry all those fans forward into an exciting new adventure. We're creatives. We like to make new things. We like to make exciting new pieces of art and move people in new ways. We want to make a sequel that's fresh but familiar. Nate and I are pretty much enamored with making origin stories, and certainly one that we could find a way to make them feel like a bit of an underdog in this landscape. This is a pretty dangerous landscape, which positions her to be an excellent person for that. This is somebody that people would not expect to be so powerful, yet here she is on this romp of a vengeance quest, which is probably pretty unexpected for some people. Over time, she'll get this name of the Onryo because this Japanese folk legend is an unlikable vengeance-seeking ghost, and that's just an awesome fit. Onryo are typically stories of vengeance from females, so that seems like a really nice package for this. I'm just shocked that Sony is letting Variety just. Some said the game's woke, bro. What do you got to say about that? I think that was a good answer, though. To Sucker Punch's credit, I think they actually handled that question very well. You know, they could have went in many different directions with that answer, but they were just like, I mean, honestly, like what they said, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I can't find anything to be offended by or upset about or nitpick. Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, you assume they had that ready to go in case they got that question, but it's a good answer. Still trying to figure out what the weapons though. Hold on. Let's see. Let's dive into. I didn't even know this was I didn't realize there was an extensive interview. Damn, I should have. I might save this for Sunday because this is pretty long. Oh, it's not that long. Maybe we could move this over for some Sunday content though. Pretty decent sized interview here from Variety. Why don't see, this is what I feel like kind of sucks is that like I cover this shit super closely and even I didn't know that there was an interview on Variety. And I feel like why Sony would you not I don't know how I'm supposed to know that they did an interview with Variety. I don't follow Variety, especially not for gaming news. Sony's so strange. But apparently it was. Yeah, apparently the weapons were revealed through Variety. So actually, hold on. This is coming from Okami13 on Twitter. Sucker Punch confirms Ghost of Yote will have a spear-like weapon called a Yari. New list of confirmed weapon types: katana, dual katanas, Kusarigama. Is that how you say that? Kusarigama. An Odachi, Yari, rifle, likely a bow, shinobi tools. So this to me, I got to tell you, the weapon variety in Ghost of Yote is what interests me the most. Because when you look at how much, in my opinion anyway, how much depth Sucker Punch was able to put into just a single weapon, and the idea of them doing that for multiple weapons. My hope is that they don't have any shortcuts here and that each weapon has that same type of depth. That's pretty exciting. I see somebody saying it's a short game. What's making you say that? It's a short game? Kusarigama. That can't be right. Kusarigama. That can't be right. That does not sound right to me. That's how you say it. I'm saying it right when okay. Kusarigama. Is that it? Kusarigama? Trying to learn Japanese over here. It's like Miles Morales. It's not God of War, Ragnarok, or The Last of Us 2. So, are you just assuming that? That can't be true. I mean, I I can't tell you you're wrong. I don't believe it, but I can't say that's not like factually not true only because as far as I'm aware, they did not they did not explicitly state that, like, they didn't explicitly state how long the game will be. Like, I don't recall them saying it'll be comparable to Ghost of Tsushima. Now, granted, they just maybe haven't hit that marketing beat yet. I'm sure that question's going to come up, but I don't get the sense that it's going to be like yeah, to me, this is like a full blown, like, this is a full blown sequel. Like, to me, this is like Ragnarok to God of War 2018 or like Spider Man 2 to Spider Man 1. I would be shocked if, and to be fair, like, it doesn't have to be like 35 hours or something like that. I'm cool if it's not. As long as the quality's there and it feels like there's a lot of meat on the bone overall, that's all that matters to me. But I would be shocked if they like come out and they're like, actually, it's it's like 12 to 15 hours. I would still be psyched for it, but I'd be like, well, that's definitely significantly shorter than Tsushima. Like, there would be a kind of like, okay, that does kind of sound like more like a Miles Morales type thing. But I don't think that's what it is. My assumption is that this is going to be another. My assumption is it's going to be similar in length to and size, scope, and scale to Tsushima. Because the thing that we have to understand, unless development like collapsed halfway through them developing this game and they had to restart and reboot it, they've been working on this for like 5 years. So if you listen to what Shuhei Yoshida said, he said he played this game numerous times throughout the years, and every time it was like not buggy. Like, he was surprised at how stable every build of the game was, even from an early development standpoint. So if it's like, if there's some kind of wrench they're going to throw into the spokes here, I would be quite surprised by that, but I'm not anticipating it. You think it's like a padded out side mission? Oh, I don't. Okay, I don't think. Come on, bro. I think you're being a bit. Come on, padded out side mission. It's like that's exactly what it is. It's just one long padded out side mission. No, I'm very stoked for Ghost of Yote though, man. I do find it interesting the way they're choosing to market it though. It's going to be Ghost of Side Mission. There we go. It's going to be interesting to see what else they're going to reveal. The one thing I will say, and I think this is fair to say, it's not like a criticism as much as it's probably something they should be a little concerned about, just a little bit, is they seem to be maybe running into, well, that's not fair to say. That's not fair to say, because what I'm about to say could also literally apply to God of War Ragnarok. I was going to say, like, some of the imagery that they're showing where, like, she's on the horse looking over the landscape and, riding the horse through the fields and stuff. It looks identical to Ghost of Tsushima, right? Like if you were to just take a quick glimpse at it, you might not even know that it's a different game. But to be fair, like, the exact same thing could be said about Ragnarok. And I definitely did not use that against Ragnarok. You were in some of the same areas in Ragnarok. So yeah, I don't know, man. My expectation for Ghost of Yote, we'll talk more about it on Sunday, I think. My expectation is I hope I'm going to be just as satisfied, if not slightly more satisfied, when I'm finished with Ghost of Yote than I was Tsushima. I can't say that confidently first from a story perspective. I thought Ghost of Tsushima's story was incredible. Jin is one of my favorite characters. I like the whole story surrounding, like, honor versus, the character believing what they need to do as the right thing, even though it goes against their code of honor. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked to see how it all plays out, man. But guys, we are about to hit the 3-hour mark, and this is going to be a good place to wrap up the stream today. I'm going to show you the results of the poll. 422 votes. Are you playing Days Gone Remastered? 50% said no. 34% said yes. 15% said still not sure yet. So thank you for voting on that. I want to extend a massive thank you to everybody who showed up today and hung out with me and took time to check the stream out, and a shout out to anybody who's going to watch it later on. Thank you to anybody who dropped direct support. It says 26 members, so I'm very grateful for that. Thank you for hitting that goal. Anybody who dropped any super chats, any direct donations, you know who you are. I really, really appreciate that. I do rely on you guys to be able to continue to fuel this channel and to be able to do this in the way that I do. And I'm very grateful for that. So big shout out to the community for making this possible. And I also want to make sure to give a special shout out to Devil Shooter, who does the timestamps for the streams. So if you guys see Devil Shooter in the comments, show him some love, give him some thanks. You know he appreciates it. And yeah, so guys, please enjoy the rest of your Friday. I plan to enjoy mine, and I'll probably be taking off tomorrow unless there's some kind of like major breaking news or something. And we'll be back on Sunday with hopefully another video, another stream, and yeah, we'll close out April, and let's see what May brings us. So, all right, guys, that does it. I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, take care, everyone. Oh, and hit that like button on your way out.